I think I have to get Blake. I have to get him because he has to get up for a thing. But you can be next. This is my Captain O Captain. She tells me who's next coming in. So.
Yeah, right. That makes it a fun meeting.
Hey, Mike, I gotta go to some meetings too.
Yeah, about 7:30. No. We'll stop about 7:30. Right after him. I got to get him to. Yeah. Hey, Carly, I need red shirt to go next, please. I just bumped someone that she just said was next. I know. This used to be my boss, Mark, so I gotta, All right, we're live, just so you know. Not starting the interview, just letting people log in and everything like that. Yeah, I just didn't want you to say something.
Yeah, mind my P's and Q's.
See, I was about to say something I probably shouldn't say.
yeah. I've got a couple things.
I literally was like, no.
Yeah.
I hope. I actually can't find. It's really bothering me. I can't find one wire that would set up my mics and everything. So we're just going to go live
with background noise.
Hopefully they can hear. I know. Yeah, background noise is always there, but I don't know.
A little bit more than ambient noise.
It's really bugging me that stupid wire.
When you packed.
I know it did. Which means it's sitting at the desk at the studio without, because I know I packed. All right, just about 1 more minute, we'll get started. Okay?
Great.
A
lot of people coming by here.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm always worried because no one shows up. These guys just laugh at me.
No, no one's gonna laugh at you. You're not gonna have a hard time filling it.
Yeah, I hope so. Should be good. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we're going new this year, live on Twitter.
Twitter there?
Twitter here, YouTube here.
Okay.
Blake here, Mike here, and we're ready to go. Hey, welcome to the 2023, I almost forget what year we're at, 2023 version of the Gill Connections podcast live. 2 places, right here on YouTube, and I am always on Twitter, and so we're live right over here. I got to make sure my cameras are going here, right? That we're live on Twitter as well. If you want to check that out, it's at Mike Cunningham over on Twitter, and we're back for another live edition. It was such a hit last year. Everybody enjoyed being on the show. I heard a lot of please do it again, and so we're here. We're back in Denver as well. We're just repeating everything we've got. So appreciate you guys joining us here. You can join us in the chat if you have questions. I'll try to read them for our guest here as well. Twitter, if you got questions, pop them up over there. And we're just gonna have another night of fun and coaches and just uplifting and honoring the men and women that choose to be track and field coaches because they are everything to what we do here at Gill Athletics, me personally, and then of course all of our wonderful student athletes all around. So we're gonna start making this a tradition. So this is 2 years, means you got to do it next year, and the year and the year after. We're starting with, let's have you introduce yourself, please, sir.
Sure, yeah. Blake Bolden, Franklin P. Johnson, director of the Drake Relays. In my 8th year in Des Moines at Drake. Yeah, it's going fast.
Man.
Yeah, and you talked about a lot of things that are the same as last year. Denver, the Gill podcast,
right.
But also same as last year. We are the presenting sponsor of the technical symposiums, which start here in 25 minutes or less, maybe. And just really thrilled to partner with USTFCCCA to celebrate and honor coaches and the work that they do. And that commitment to, USTFCCCA, always committed to innovating in the sport of track and field. And our event has done that for 11 decades in the sport and in Des Moines, Iowa. And so a natural partnership and of course, continuing to identify ourselves as a resource for coaches and also an opportunity for athletes every spring and start building our track and field meet into their schedule in 2024 and in 2025 and every year from now until eternity.
So why, I understand why you're connected to the USTFCCCA, right? It's in the name, Cross Country and Track and Field Coaches Association. And without our coaches and our programs going to the Drake Relays, there is no Drake Relays, there's no athletes, etc. Why the technical symposium? There's a lot of things. They have the Hall of Fame banquet. We've got the Bowerman, a lot of different avenues of what they do here for coaches. Why did Drake Relays pick the technical symposium?
Great
Coaching
question.
education.
Yeah, coaches education is invaluable because that was what will continue to elevate performances, improve student athlete experience, but really more than that, more tactically, Hall of Fame you mentioned, or the big luncheons, in those large group settings. We may not necessarily be targeting the coaches we want to talk to, and the coaches we want to talk to are coaches that are young, future leaders, and that's who's going to the technical symposiums. The Hall of Famers, they either have been or won't come to the Drake Relays. So, the kind of the old guard, older generations of coaches, they know what the Drake Relays are. Back in the 1960s with Jim Ryan and Al Order, and then all the way through the 70s, and just the way college track and field. Herschel Walker in 1981 is the Heisman Trophy winner, running in a track meet in front of 40, or that year probably 20,000 fans, like standing room only.
That's cool.
That type of excitement, and that's what you know about the Drake Relays. And younger coaches, just the era of college track and field has changed so quickly that to continue to invest in areas where we can represent our significance to the next generation of coaches.
So, Blake, you and I have known each other for a long time. I've known you since you were an athlete.
That's right. Yeah,
I remember
a lifetime
being
ago.
so cool talking to you on the phone when I worked with Houston Franks now at LSU.
Yeah.
And knowing that you were a sub 4 minute miler, like that was so cool. Like, oh my God, I talked to a sub 4 minute miler. I'm a sub 4 minute half miler on my best day, my PR. What I've always enjoyed about you, and why I think our friendship has grown to, being not just working in business with friends, is you're creative. You're always doing something. You're always changing something. Anything that we're doing this year at the Drake Relays different that we're going to see that's going to be new, maybe for the first or second time?
Yeah. So really, this year is continuity, as we talked about with Gill Podcast in Denver. Yeah. The theme would be continuity. We made wholesale changes a year ago to the competition format, and we're recommitting to that and communicating the benefits of it, because unless you were there and you're Justin Sinclair in Nebraska, who wins a Relay Cup and has world-class performances at the field events, unless you're there to see it and know that the improvements of the format, now the fundamentals are there. We have to preach the gospel and educate people, and I'm hoping it serves as a model for other meets, because it will improve the format and the competition performance opportunities for athletes across the country. But what we did a year ago really can be a leading example.
Now, and this is out of my wheelhouse, so you tell me if I'm misspeaking here, but I thought I saw the road mile.
Yeah.
This is the first time we had a road mile world record?
Yeah.
And it was at Drake Relays, right?
That's right. Yep. So it's kind of separate from what we do here with the college coaches.
Right.
But yeah, the inaugural World Athletics 1 mile world record was set in Des Moines for both the men and women. Sam Prakel and Nikki Hiltz both had terrific performances, and I think it was a testament to our attention to detail in Des Moines and how we go about doing everything. That in 2023, prior to the inaugural World Road Running Championships in Riga, Latvia, no one paid attention to those details better than us. Is probably the way to say it. It was terrific performances on the day, but really, our team, our volunteers, our officials, our Drake Relays Committee, our entire community, it helped. We renamed the city street World Record Way.
I know, right?
So it's an event that starts in the stadium. That is the heart and soul of it, but it's something that's celebrated throughout our entire community.
And can you commit today that in either, I guess 2024 is probably already set, so I'll give you 2025, that we can do a Masters road race and we can see Blake Bolden come back to the mile on the road?
I will not commit to running anything right now.
Sometimes when I get them live, I try to, get it on record here.
No.
Blake, we're having a good time. Very much appreciate what you do here for USTFCCA. I've got 100 random questions, 1 through 100. You pick the number 1 through 100.
4.
Why number 4?
You already said 4 minutes for the mile. Seemed like a good number to start with.
All right. Well, The topic is annoyed much? Do you subscribe to YouTube Premium? And why should they stop asking me every time I get on YouTube and YouTube on the phone? They're always asking me to subscribe. I'm not doing it, YouTube. Are you subscribed? Who's subscribed to
I'm
this?
not subscribed, and I feel the same way.
Yeah, every time.
Every single time I open the app on my phone.
Take a hint, YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, don't cut me off, YouTube. I know we're live right now on YouTube. Don't cut me live.
It's like a good salesman in track and field equipment. Persistence.
Yeah, I try not to be that annoying.
No.
All right, last two things here, Blake. Since you have been a Gill Connections podcast alum, you've been on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
An honor.
You get to flip the script. Only alums are getting to flip the script. You get to ask me one question live on YouTube tonight.
Yeah, well, live on YouTube, put you on the spot.
That's right.
Okay. Who are you most hopeful sits down in one of these chairs in the next 2 hours?
Yeah, this is going to sound like I'm...
You got to pick a favorite, Mike.
No,
you can't stay political.
Because so we're close to 250 episodes, which means I've had over 250 coaches to sit down with us. Everybody from Drake Relays directors to Mouse Holloway to D3 coaches, junior college coaches, middle school. I had a high school coach in Kentucky who ran a track meet at his high school with no track. He did the shot put out of the baseball field. He had one lap in his parking lot, so he did the one lap race.
That's awesome.
So to me, and this is the reason why we started the podcast, everybody's journey, no matter what's on their shirt, is really, really important. So since I know you're not going to let me cop out that, here's where my real
That's a great answer, but it's not the answer.
Here's my real answer. I now, again, going into our 5th season here, starting in January, I continue to get this sense of responsibility of capturing people's stories. It's their whole journey, as you know, right? And so I start seeing these coaches like a Lance Harder, George Williams, who has been on the podcast, that, I feel a little bit of a responsibility of let's get their story on wax so that younger coaches 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now will be able to go back and find out how did a Lance Harder make it? How did a George Williams make it? To where they are. So that's who I would really...
Yeah, there's some great Hall of Famers this year. Maybe one of them will stop by.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Blake, we do have a gift. We do have a gift.
All right.
Everybody tonight, and only people who sit down in the hot seat get a custom, man, look at this, a custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas ornament. No one else is going to get it unless you sit down. Blake, this is just our little present to say thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you. Great to see you. Yeah, we'll see you later.
Go introduce a bunch of people.
Good luck for the rest of the night here. See ya.
Thanks, Blake. All right, that was awesome, man. Blake has been our first one 2 years in a row, and we had to have him on here again. So we're just going to keep the train rolling. This one might get off the rails here. Let's start with, please introduce yourself, sir.
Jim Sprecher from the University of Richmond.
And you got to speak up a little bit, act like you're out on the track and, yelling out 4x1 splits and 4x4 splits and things like that. Speak up a little bit for me, all right?
I'll do that.
All right. Spreck, what are you doing here? What I mean by that is you have come to a lot of things, right? How many years have you gone to USTFCCCA convention?
Haven't missed one. Every single one. Whenever they started, I've been to each one.
So you've been to when they're very small, and now they're very large. Like we're having problems finding places to host these. The USTFCCCA staff does just an amazing job of creating value that so many coaches are coming. So with this many years in a row, what are you looking for? What are you doing here? Is there a speaker that you really want to? Are you speaking this year? I got to watch you, and you did an amazing job. What are you here for? What value are you getting out of being at the convention?
I think actually the value that I'm getting is helping pour into others. And helping a lot
a real strength of yours.
A lot of young coaches. Even already today, I've met a couple of high school coaches looking to try to get into college coaching. And so I think it's time to start paying it forward. And, we were talking about we were out in our profession because back then our idols took the time with us.
That's right. So that's a great question. That's a question I get quite often. What advice would you give to a high school coach that says, I want to coach college because it's amazing. Like, I want to be in the college level. What advice would you give?
Well, definitely reach out. We don't know who they are a lot of times, but they just contact us. And then it's as much as anything, it's who you know. And so, you have to turn over a lot of stones so you can find that one opportunity. But don't give up. And I think we talked one time. I got into the profession as a GA. I sent out 100 handwritten letters. And So it takes to have a little bit of tenacity and perseverance.
You know what I love? One of the many goals that we have with the podcast, one of them is to bust myths, or like the myth busters, right? And I do love working towards busting the myth that a high school coach can't coach on the college level for all these different reasons, right? They don't know how to recruit, they don't know how to run a college, a P&L, budget and things like that. And then I get these amazing coaches like yourself on the podcast, and it's like, oh yeah, I started coaching high school first. Like we had Chris Johnson, now women's coach, head coach at University of Arkansas, and he started out as a high school coach. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If all you guys started out as high school coaches, why can't we have high school coaches move up to the ranks?
Yeah, no doubt. And it used to be, college coaching, the best high school coaches became the best college coaches. And I've said this my whole career, that the best coaching in this country happens at the high school level. Because that's the grassroots. They're getting the athletes out there.
Good point.
And so, I've always been a firm believer that I want to hire somebody who has less and still successful, because given them the right resources, I think they can do some special things.
Yeah. Just a little sneak peek in January as we kick off our 5th season on the podcast, by the way, which is just bonkers to say out loud. We're going to start the year with a special Baylor 4x4 series. So we're going to do 4 Baylor coaches in a row, 4 Baylor alums in a row. So we kicked it off. The first one will be Michael Ford. Then we go Jeremy Warner. And then we go David Hodge. And then we anchor with Clyde Hart. And it was awesome to hear Clyde's story. And you guys will get to hear it at the end of January about where he started, how he started. And he was a high school coach. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, someone out there, Jim, is thinking about coming to this convention. They just can't pull the trigger for many reasons, right? Maybe it's it's expensive to come to Denver. Next year, I think we're in Orlando. It's expensive to hotel, being away from friends and family during the kind of holiday time period. Convince them to come next year. Someone who's never been.
Well, I'll tell you this: Sam Seams and his committee, his staff, they put on a first-class program for us. And yeah, it might cost a little bit of money, but the amount of resources they put into this, the banquets, all the different meals, technical symposiums, and just the professional development, just the opportunity to have fellowship. It's well worth the cost. And that's why I come every year. Is that I look forward to it. It's always one of the highlights of my calendar.
It's my Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah.
How many on average new people do you think you walk away knowing after a week like this here at the convention?
Oh, yeah, probably dozens.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
And you've been, now, a dozen, and you've been coming a long time. A newbie is going to walk away with 20, 30, 40, 50. Heck, if you're open to it, you easily meet 100 people that actually really care about what you're doing as a coach, when you're high school, junior college, NCAA, NAIA, it doesn't matter. This is really, I really do consider it like my Super Bowl, man. I love this week. I gear up for it every single year.
Yeah, we're all here for one reason: we love the sport.
That's it.
And we want to do what we can to make the sport better. And so I think you're just going to be around a lot of like-minded people. And so if you have a passion, it's just spilled. So it's something that I just feels grateful that I started at the beginning of it, and continue with that. And we appreciate, again, everything you do for the profession. And it really has struck a balance between, hey, this is what coaching is as a profession, but hey, it's more than just being a coach.
That's right. People first. It's people who choose to be a coach, not coach. That's exactly right. A couple of fun things. I've got 100 random questions. You remember this from last year? 1 through 100. You can't pick the same number, whatever that was last year.
Okay. Number 4.
My number 4.
That's my favorite number.
All right, good. All right, the topic is annoy much. Do you subscribe to YouTube Premium? And why in the heck would they just not stop asking me? I'm not subscribing to YouTube Premium.
Well, you know me too well.
She said that. I was like, oh yeah, who am I asking this?
Yeah.
He does not subscribe to YouTube Premium. We just got him to not print out emails and ask someone else to respond. I'm very proud when you email me. It means the world to me. All right, because you're a Gill Connections podcast alum, thank you for being on the show. We get to flip the script. You get to ask me one question, unprepared, here live.
I want to join you one Saturday. You're having your football get together, food, and the menu, and the games, and everything. That looks like a lot of fun.
You know, I'm a college football fan, first, last, second. I don't watch NFL, baseball, hockey, all this kind of stuff. And my wife has really, love her to death, glommed onto that. So I have 13 events a year, roughly, and we have an absolute blast. And Troy's going to a bowl game, so, you can't beat that. Me and Sean Wilburn are going to get the boxing squared out. I did that with Kareem Street Thompson last year because we played UTSA, and it's the most scared I've ever been. I was like, Kareem, we're playing. I mean, he was like, I was like, did he use the box? Because he's into it. He's into it. All right, Jim, what we're doing this year, only for people who sit down here in the hot seat to say thank you, a small token of our appreciation, you're getting a custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas order.
There we go.
For one,
Am's going to put this on.
For one of your 5 Christmas trees. I know you have more than one. Scrap, love you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. When you're in this business long enough, you find friends and Come on. Yeah. You're the ringleader. Yeah. Cool. Who's next? Yeah. Come on. You gotta work the crowd and figure out who's gonna be next, and there's a lot of elbows and a lot of demand. Why don't we start here with our next guest? Appreciate him being here. Introduce yourself for me, Brian. Speak up for me.
Brian Ruggles. I am the head boys track and field and cross country coach at North Oldham High School, which is in Goshen, Kentucky, which is basically Louisville, Kentucky.
And Brian, if I were to poll 100 coaches that walk by here tonight, 97 of them are going to be a college coach. I've always thought that this opportunity is maybe greater for high school coaches for a lot of not only educational reasons, but networking reasons, etc. What are you doing here this year?
2 main reasons. First and foremost is education. So I took the sprint circles and relays class, so the first 2 with Tommy and Vince and Kaba. And then I'm also possibly, or we're probably looking to make a transition into college coaching.
Okay.
So, just hoping to meet some people and learn some things about college coaching, how to start, everything like that. So I figure probably no better place than a meeting of hundreds of college coaches.
Yeah. When they're not at the track, stressed out about their athletes.
Exactly. And obviously there's a lot of great seminars and things throughout the mix. So I'll still be learning as that's going on. So.
And why, you've been a high school coach for a long time, doing a really, really fantastic job. Why the idea of going on to coaching the college?
It's just kind of the next progression of, learning. I'd love to go to a place, obviously, where I can provide value and also to learn. I'm mostly a running coach. And so a lot of times as a high school coach, it's hard. I can't do everything. And so I focus and try to make sure that I don't dilute myself too much. And I've got some good assistant coaches that handle most of the field events. And so
all really good coaches have really good assistant coaches.
Exactly. And so it'd be nice to kind of take a step back in that manner and be able to kind of be off to the side a little bit. And also I have 4 boys, and my youngest boy is a senior in high school this year. So as far as when the time to make a transition, this is probably the time. And I've been at North Oldham for 9 years now. So
it sounds like you're describing like a midlife crisis, but this is a good midlife crisis. It's better than going to buy the expensive car that you really shouldn't be buying, or picking up gambling or whatever.
Exactly.
So this is like a healthy midlife crisis.
Yeah,
I want to advance.
I think if you could give my wife a list of midlife crises, this would probably be higher on the list.
Better on the list.
Exactly.
Staying home and taking care of her, I'm sure.
I'm sure. It's not number 1. But that wouldn't be a crisis.
Okay, well, Brian, you and I have spoken a lot before the convention here, so I know you a little bit. You seem to be a very smart guy, like a guy who maybe makes lists and checks off the list. So I have to assume, you got the itinerary of the USTFCCA, all the different
right
there,
right on the phone.
What was one? And you can't. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rule. You can't say the one you've already done, the coaching education.
Sure.
There was some talk or meeting or event, Hall of Fame, Bowerman, that you were like, no, I'm not missing this. This is the one thing I'm not missing, besides sitting down here on the Gill Connections.
Well, okay, so you can't count that.
Yeah. Besides this, what was the one thing you're like, not missing?
Okay. I would say probably who's got two cars. And I'd probably have to say that maybe the Bowerman is the closest.
Yeah. So have you studied the three candidates for the Bowerman?
I'll be honest with you, I have not.
Okay,
so I can't.
I was going to put you on the
I
spot.
can't handicap.
Okay.
I can't handicap.
I was going to put you on the spot who you thought might win.
Yeah.
It's like impossible, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. All six, the three guys and three women are just, just nuts. Like, of course they'll win. Whoever wins is like, of course, but of course another person will win.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. Well, and the level of the times and marks that are coming out of college recently are insane. So
wait a minute, and you want to get up in that mix?
Well, hey, at those higher levels, why not? Right?
Pressure makes diamonds.
Pressure makes diamonds. Yeah.
All right. Brian, we're going to have a little fun here. I've got 100 random, and I mean they're random questions here. You get to pick the number. Okay.
33.
Why 33? Why the number 33?
Oh, I don't know. Just because it's a third. It's a third of 100. I'm just gonna slice it right.
All right. I love rainbows. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color. Ah, man. I will go with red.
Is that right?
Yeah, red.
Why red?
Not because
it's all around right now.
Not because it's skill. I don't know. That's just what comes to mind. It's just one of those things. Like I probably decided maybe I wanted to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
And so red. I don't know. It's
Well,
red.
red's my favorite color as well. And for being on the show tonight, and only people who are on the show. It's not a convention giveaway. It's only the people that sit in the hot seat. You've got an exclusive custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas ornament for your tree today this year.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you for being here, man.
All right.
Hey, if there is someone that you are just burning to meet that you know's here, and I can help you by making an introduction. There's a reason why it's the Gill Connections podcast. You reach out, and I'll do everything in my power.
I will do that.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. It's awesome. I'm telling you, high school coaches need to be at this convention. Next year, I'm 100% sure that it's in Orlando. And so I would hope to see a bunch of coaches in the Florida area, but really across the country. I know it's a tough time with where it is with the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up, but where's a better place to go than Orlando, right? Because you can go to Disney, bring your family, spouses, etc. So speaking of mouses, we have our next guest already lined up here, ready to go. See, it's all about the transitions. That's why I get paid the big podcasting bucks here. Speak up loudly and introduce yourself.
Yep. Eric Kramer, the sprint circles coach at Grand Valley State University.
And Eric, I have known you since you were how old?
Freshman in high school.
At least I don't have to say I changed your diaper. At least you were in high school.
I was potty trained.
Yeah. And your most positive quality, and you've got many. Well, your most positive is your wife. To
Yes.
be real honest with you. But your second one is your resilience. That I worked with you in some camps and things like that, and yet you still kept going into track. You went into coaching track and field. You didn't let me deter that. So you're obviously a very strong young man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Eric, Grand Valley State, which is awesome because we have a new teammate that started this year who's a Grand Valley State alum as well. Talk to me about, you've been in a couple different programs and done very well at each one. What makes Grand Valley just a little different?
It's one of the things is our head coach, Jerry Baltus.
JB, baby.
And it's easy to say, hey, it's my boss. I better kiss his butt a little bit. But
my boss is great too.
But the reality of it is that the thing that he does very well is he allows his coaches in their event groups to be kind of like head coaches within their event group. And so I get to do whatever I want to do with my sprint group. If I want to go to a certain meet, as long as it's okay in the budget, he'll approve it. If I think that it's going to be what's best for my sprinters and hurdlers, he's going to be okay with it. I just have to arrange everything. But he allows us to be our own people and be our own coach, and just as long as it fits within the major umbrella of what his vision of the program is, we're good to do whatever we want to do.
Now, Grand Valley has a lot of good coaches that we have there now, and has had a lot of good coaches. And I mean this with I love you. So this is a serious question this
Yes.
time. What do you think was the reason he hired you? The reason I say that is I have to assume a guy like JB at a program like Grand Valley had a lot of options, and I don't even want to call it luckily you got it because you earned and deserve it. What do you think was the defining quality that he was like, oh, this is my guy?
I think it may have been two things. One was my history with. I had met Jerry and Lou. It was probably the early 2010s when I was doing my graduate work. We were in the same conference, and my sprinters were beating their sprinters, and I think that was what kind of maybe put me on their radar. And then when I was at UW Milwaukee, we would bring our sprinters and hurdlers over for the big meet and would run and did very well there, and we had a lot of success. And so I think that was being able to have that connection and having conversations with them just as a peer coach and getting advice and the ability to just walk up to them and they're so personable, all of the staff there. I knew right away when the position came open that I wanted the job because I knew how outgoing the coaches were, how personable they were, how much supportive they were for me, and I knew they were going to be that way for their athletes as well. And then the second being, my wife is the head coach at Calvin University. It's her alma mater. We're going to be there for a while, I hope. And so the idea would be that there would be some continuity with, if they bring me in, I'm going to be there for a while.
You're not bolting to
Right.
the next attractive job.
I'm not looking to go to the next D1 job or the next position somewhere else. My alma mater is closed, so I have no desire to go coach at my alma mater. So, yeah, I think that those were the two big things.
And JB strikes me. In fact, I use him for some reason. I picked him as my example when I talk about the leadership that coaches exude. And I think sometimes coaching sports is less about X's and O's and more about leadership with the athlete. And so I've used JB on the podcast as an example several times that I think if we plucked JB off of track and cross country and made him coach hockey, now he may be a huge hockey guy, I don't even know, but I was trying to pick a sport that I didn't know.
He's a Cubs fan, so baseball maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to pick a sport he has no idea about.
Yeah.
I bet you we could put JB in charge of a hockey team, not knowing the X's and O's of the plays. And I think because of his leadership style and skill, they would be pretty good. You know?
Very much a Ted Lasso type.
Yeah. I get to watch it. I still haven't seen that. I know. But he strikes me as the type of person that always has a list of like, all right, well, Bears leaves. I saw this guy over here. He did everything. So I bet you were on the list when it was like, oh, I have a position open. Well, Eric Kramer, I've seen him and we know him. Like, we should be looking at him as well. So. Yeah. Well, you are certainly the beneficiary of that type, and I'm sure he had, the always looking for the next coaches, and well deserved on that. So here we are. We're in Denver again,
Yes.
right? What are you looking forward to the most this week?
The dinners. I'm a foodie, so the dinners every night, I love that. But obviously, education. I think the symposiums tonight. There's one tonight and a few tomorrow, and Wednesday as well. I look forward to those. I may sit in one and just have my notebook out and not ever really write anything down. But if there's one thing I can take away from each one, I feel like then it was a beneficial thing. And that's always my advice when young coaches or former athletes that are looking to get into coaching, come to the convention because you're going to learn so much, especially early on as a young coach. And I know I would not be at Grand Valley if it weren't for the Coaches Academy and the symposiums and all of those things, because I learned a lot in this.
Have you learned where the karaoke spot in Pittsburgh, Kansas is?
Not yet, but I'm figuring it out.
All right.
So.
All right, let's have a little fun here, Eric. I've got 100 questions. They're all kind of random, wacky questions. You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
87.
Why 87?
That was my high school football number.
That's usually the answer the guys give here. 87, sweet or savory? What's your favorite dessert?
Oh, savory for sure. Gosh, for dessert. That's tough. I don't usually get dessert. If I do, it's usually like fruit.
That'd be
But
sweet.
But yeah, that's a sweet. But I would say like the big one in the holidays, pecan pie.
Dude, I thought you were going to say fruitcake, and we were about to end this right now.
No, pecan pie would be.
You would
up
do
there.
well in the South.
Yes.
Okay. And we get one more special bonus for you because you've been on the podcast. You're a Gill podcast alum.
Yep.
You were our first double, so you and your wife Nicole.
Yep.
And we got to talk about spouses that are both track coaches. So it was very educational. Really do appreciate that. We get to flip the script tonight. You get to ask me one question. Completely unrehearsed. No one knows we're doing this, so as he thinks about that question, it's a little risky for me, but I don't think you grow without risk. And, I've known him since 17. I'll just kick him out here real quick if he goes AWOL on me.
Do you remember, and it's more of a question to me, but do you remember in camp the one thing that you taught me that I was doing wrong?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I'm sure there were so many.
There was a lot.
That it was really hard. Remind me.
It's the number of steps I was taking to the hurdle.
What were you doing?
I was 7-stepping.
Were you really? Which is like the
And I was
cool
not a
thing,
7-stepper.
Which is the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like big, I'm always on Twitter, big discussions about like, hey, how do I get my kid to 7? I'm like, you don't. Like, you know how many people can do that?
I've had one, and I've had multiple guys that have gone on the trials and all that stuff.
I do remember that now that you said that. I can picture us on the Indiana University track. And I probably went off like, what are you thinking?
We were setting up the blocks, and I set up the blocks, and they were like, wait, what's your lead leg? What are you doing here? And then it's like, all right, show me that you can do this. And it was just, I was bounding out of the blocks. And I'll never forget it. And that's why that next year I dropped a full second in my 1-10 hurdle time, all because of this guy. So.
And then I was like, no more coaching. Just stop when you're at the top. I'm done. Well, I'm glad that worked out for you, man. I'm glad your question was to show that I have no memory at 47 years old. Appreciate that. Eric, thanks for being on the show. Everybody who sits in the hot seat today, and only the people that sit in the hot seat, get a custom Gill Connections Christmas ornament for your Christmas tree.
And I heard you interviewed my brother as well.
I did. I'm glad you brought that up because if you're listening, we have I'm super excited for this. We're building up the excitement because it's not going to happen until April and May of 2024. We went out and found a high school coach in every single state, including you, Washington, D.C., and his brother was the Indiana representative and did an amazing job. And what we did was we went out and found them and talked to them for about 20-ish minutes about how you qualify for the state meet in your state. And let me tell you what, boys and girls, buckle up. It is, so Alabama through Wyoming, all 51, including D.C., it is radically different across the country. So tune in April and May every day, starting with Alabama, all the way to the end of May with Wyoming. You're not going to miss it. And your brother was an absolute rock star.
Good. I look forward to listening.
It was awesome. Eric, thanks for being here today, buddy.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
you, man. Love you, brother. If you're watching here and you see my hat, we're in Denver, so, I learned from Coach Prime that I ain't hard to find, so I had to go get the hat since I was coming here to Colorado. All right, we're back up, ready for the next one here. Why don't you introduce yourself and speak up with all the loudness here.
I'm Shane Brookshire from Frostburg State University.
Shane, it's kind of an odd question I've been asking to kind of kick off each interview. What are you doing here? What I mean by that, let me explain it maybe a little bit. There's a lot of different things that go on during this week, all amazing things, right? From Hall of Fame dinner, Bowerman, symposiums, executive committee meetings, things like that. What are you doing here? What's your goal here this week?
Well, I'm the conference rep for the Mountain East for the Executive Cross Country Committee.
Yeah.
And so I've been going to all those meetings, but also just trying to soak in all the symposiums this year. Didn't get to go to very many last year. And also a little bit of vacation time too with having a long cross-country season and stuff. So it's time to take a little break from it all. So looking forward to that too.
Yeah, hey, that's really important. My whole life is coaches, track coaches, and I talk to at least it feels like 100 track coaches every day, but a lot every day. And I probably, and I'm saying this without any bravado, I probably have more of a knowledge of coaches as people, not the X's and O's side, than most people. I almost said everybody, but most people out there. And the number one thing that I see us doing to a detriment is that we are coached 24/7. So is this a new? So I'm really proud of you understanding and recognizing I need to take a break. That I'm Shane first, not coach first. Has that been something new for you? Did you have to learn that, or has this been a principle of yours for a while?
It's been a little difficult. When I got to Frostburg, I had to rebuild that whole program, so I didn't really think I could take any time off for a while until we got our roster numbers where they needed to be at. This year we finally hit those goals, and so I even told my AD, and he's been stressing to me for about taking time off. And
that's a good AD.
Finally this year I felt like I could start to relax and scale it back a little bit more on everything that I do, and made it a point that I'd have some fun at the convention, check things out, and then take a little trip to Nashville afterwards to something I always wanted to do, and so do that for the weekend before I head back to Maryland.
Well, I was going to ask, what does that look like for you? So going to a place you've never been but always kind of wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it a lot of times with my own coaching. I've traveled all over the country, so I'm used to going places I've never been and meeting new people. So I figured why not go to Nashville for a little bit, take a couple extra days to relax, and then be energized for the rest of the track season.
What do you have you set an itinerary for Nashville, or is it something you want to make sure you go see or do?
The only thing that's on my list right now, aside from checking out all the other music venues, is going to Garth Brooks' new bar.
Oh, is he got a new bar?
Big fan of his, so I want to check that out.
Iconic, come on now. Yeah. You can't go wrong with Garth Brooks.
Oh, that's right.
Did you grow up on country?
Oh, yeah. We grew up on country, on Garth especially, and then when I lived out in Oklahoma and stuff, coached out there and made sure I went out to a lot of different venues there. And he's an Okie, I'm an Okie, so I'll go check it out.
And a good javelin thrower.
Oh, yeah, for Oklahoma State. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice sideburns with it, too.
Yeah, exactly. So what was, and I can't remember the pseudonym, the alternate name you went under.
Chris Gaines.
So what was up with the Chris Gaines thing?
I think he's just trying to have a little bit of fun.
I would let you know, I met the guy who hooked me up with.
Oh, good. Okay, great. All right, thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. What was up with that? So just kind of wanted to be able to publish music without the Garth Brooks name, not attached to it it automatically hits gold, but it kind of does. But he could play around and do some different things.
Yeah, I think that's all he was looking to do with it, and experiment with something new, have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
And stuff. And
it was weird, man.
It was.
Yeah. But I can't imagine. I think of Garth and Taylor Swift, things everything is under every little microscope. She would agree a little bit like that for coaching track and field and cross country, right? We may not have the national media, which I would love for us to, it's a little bit be careful what you ask for, right? It's USA Today, New York Times are calling me every day, hey, what happened in cross country season this year, But, you certainly are every little move, where you choose to go to meets, who you choose to run in those meets, why are you holding that person up? Well, how did that person get injured? What did you do? It's really a little bit unfair.
Definitely can be, yeah, especially, you got people from outside the program trying to figure out why you're doing what you're doing when they don't really see the whole picture of it. And and that's probably the biggest issue with it. But we try to do our best at my place with establishing the why behind everything and teaching our athletes that. And so hopefully they buy into it like that. And it's carried over. It's brought a lot of success in the program. A lot of the alums are buying into what we're doing and stuff, and the administration's buying into what we're doing. So it's been an exciting growth to see across.
We had George Williams, now retired coach from St. Augustine, St. Augs, on the podcast, and he has the saying, and it's been decades that he's had this saying, if you're not in the huddle, you don't know the play. Meaning, if I see Shane, one of your athletes get hurt, I'm like, well, you know, if that kid was in my program, they wouldn't got hurt. And no one realizes, well, that kid went out and played basketball at midnight and tore his meniscus, whatever. You know, it's like you don't know what's going on over there, guys. It's really like it really helped me to like understand and see, like not to have judgment. You know, I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know what's going on with your athletes. I'm not in the huddle, so I don't know their play. So highly recommend that episode. You did a great job.
I like that.
All right, Shane, let's have a little fun here. I've got 100 random, and they're random, brother. Questions here. You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
All right, let's go 12. My favorite number.
Favorite number. All right. Did the apple fall far from the tree? Let's hear it. Are you team Apple or are you team Android?
I'll probably go with Android.
It shouldn't be that hard. What is your phone?
Well, it's an Apple, but it's a work phone. My first smartphone was an Android.
So if you had your choice, you'd be on team Android.
I go with whatever's cheaper.
Yeah, not Apple. Yeah, okay. That's an automatic you're on the Android team.
I got to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Hey, it's amazing what the prices of these things, man. It's amazing. Shane, thank you so much, man. We're grateful. This is not always the easiest thing in the world to sit in the hot seat. And so for everybody who sits in the hot seat today, I've got a little token of appreciation from all of us here at Gill. We've got a custom Gill Connections Christmas ornament for you for your Christmas tree.
Gracias.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Hey,
Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, for me?
Yeah,
oh, hey,
sure.
Come on. No, we got to make a little bit bigger deal of this. Yeah. I love this. You know, if you're following along on Twitter, at Mike Cunningham, you know, it's a real, like, you know, I get to say this to you right here. I appreciate this. It's not lightly that I wear these shirts. You know, it is kind of my memento, my memory, my passion of when I'm in that weight room working out. I'm doing it to be healthier and my family. Amy, I know you're probably watching. I love you too, baby, and the kids. But it really is. It's like that memory when I see whatever school I have that day on. It's I get to think of you, Shane, and like what I get to do and how I get to serve and uplift and honor what you do for young people, man. It's immeasurable what you do. It really is.
I appreciate the support you give to coaches, and I love seeing you wear those other gear. So
well, now I got your gear.
You got it. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Hey,
thank you so much. It really does. It means the world to me when coaches send me these shirts, and I have shirts from around the country. And you know, there's not a bigger passion and uplifting and honor that I can do to work every day to get better personally, health-wise, and also how I go about doing my business of serving coaches, empowering coaches with innovative equipment. And it's just a great memento and a great memory for what I'm doing every day to help serve coaches around the country. Speaking of coaches around the country, come on in. You got to speak up a little for me here. Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Sarah Clemmy. I coach at UW Parkside in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Parkside, the Bears?
The Rangers.
The Rangers, yeah. I could see the mascot.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's Ranger Bears.
I was like, I know it's not the Bears per se. Okay, Sarah, what do you do? What events do you work with there?
Yeah, so I primarily coach the throws, all of them. So javelin, hammer, weight, shot put, discus, And then this year I'm probably also going to work with the multis a little bit, with like the throwing and like also like planning their training.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do you know? I'm really impressed with throwing coaches because first of all, each one is. I mean, there's some similarities. I get it. Of course, when you throw that javelin in there, that's wrecks it all. It's more of a horizontal than a circular event. But then you're also stereotypically, you're going to do our weight room for us, and you're going to do the weight room for the sprinters and the jumpers and the distance runners. You know, you have to be kind of on your game if you're going to be a throws coach. What was it for you? How do you handle that? Was it the mentors that you've had? How do you handle the game, the pressure?
Yeah, so I don't actually do our weight training. We have a head strength and conditioning coach, Carly Failer. She's been on this podcast.
Yeah, I was like, Gill podcast. I was kind of setting that up for her, Carly, to drop the name. Yeah.
She's fantastic. I love her to death. She's definitely helped me. She's definitely been a mentor for me. And Nick Moss, my boss, he's the director of track and field.
You really do have a lot of great people.
I know. I'm really lucky.
Like really lucky. Yeah.
So, it's basically just like the mentors that I've had and definitely like the coaches I've had previously. Like I've had them at like the perfect times in my life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like I went through some stuff right before my freshman year of college.
Okay.
So my high school coach, love her to death. She's fantastic. I couldn't have had her in college because I would have probably quit track. But the coach that I did have in college was fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Why coaching college? Not college. Why coaching track and field? And what I mean by that is, there's very few people that probably know coaches as people better than I do. Because of the podcast, 250 episodes, I'm in, and we get deep, like, why are you doing the track and all this kind of stuff. And I'm always like uber impressed. Like all these men and women here could, someone in here could cure cancer. Someone here could run a nonprofit that would help homeless people. Someone over here could be, an amazing math or science. I mean, the talent level is amazing, and yet we choose to help people throw a 4K ball farther. Why, as you were thinking about going into college, thinking about majors to pick, thinking about a career, why coaching track and field?
It was actually kind of funny. Coaching track just kind of fell into my lap. So I was originally going to school to be a doctor.
Oh,
and then,
okay. All right.
And then,
I never went to school to be a doctor.
And then my GPA was not good enough. So I was like, okay, maybe not a doctor.
We do have a lot in common.
Yeah. So maybe not a doctor. And then I was like, I was like debating if I wanted to be like a high school biology teacher because my degree is in biology, or like a physical therapist. And then I did like a practicum, so basically like shadowed, and I was like, absolutely not. I could not be a teacher.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Fantastic people, but I could not do it. It was insane. And then I was like, okay, physical therapy sounds fun. Didn't get into physical therapy because my GPA was bad. But then my assistant coach actually knows Carly. So they were like, you should apply. And so here I am.
I love that journey for you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Now, I'm a tattoo guy, and I can't help but see. What do we got going on there? Is this
it's my cat prints. Henry and Libby, they've passed away.
Oh.
So it's like an honorary.
I love that. That's really cool. Sorry, I'm a hidden tattoo guy. You see my wedding ring, but everything else is hidden. But I really do. I was like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, and then I have this one,
that.
That's
hey. Yeah. I'm so glad you're here. Honestly, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, luckily it wasn't like me personally. Sure. It was just like for my family.
Oh, okay.
But this was like my first one when I was 19. I was like, yes, this is what I want. I wanted it for years. So
that says a lot about you and your character. So it really does. Yeah. I love that.
And then I have another one for my family. On my ankle, it's their birth flowers. So my mom, my dad, and my brother, and myself.
Sounds like family's pretty important.
They definitely are. It's a little complicated now, but
is it life? I don't mean to.
No. Yeah. It's definitely just life. My parents got divorced in like 2021, so it was like recent. Yeah. Yeah. So it was like tough, like figuring that out as an adult, because normally you're like, oh, you're a kid, you're like 9 or 10 when your parents get divorced, and so it was weird.
I hate that happens here. What track coaches do amazingly is turn some of the trauma that they've had to help countless of other young people, right? So you have this ability now to take this hurt and this damage and go help some other 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that has no ability to figure this out because you had to figure it out yourself. So
I've definitely told my athletes that. I'm like, I've literally been through so much weird stuff.
You
would not believe it.
You can say that. It's okay. It's live. There's no bleep button on that. Yeah.
Like I've been through some like weird stuff. Like it's been weird. Like I've had 2 surgeries. Like my parents got divorced. Like I've been in a car accident. Like I've been through some weird stuff. So
let's have a little fun. How about that?
Yeah.
I've got 100 random questions here.
Oh,
you get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
Okay, my favorite number is 23, so I have to go with that.
23.
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island was BS. What did you grow up thinking was going to be a bigger problem than it really was, and why is it quicksand? I thought quicksand was everywhere.
I was going to say quicksand.
Yeah. I was like, everywhere I go, I'm going to have to make sure I lay flat and don't struggle. Right? Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Sarah, I love you to death. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Because you're here, and only because people that sit in the seat, we've got a custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas order for you.
Thank
Just as a
you.
memento to say thank you
You're
for
so
us.
sweet.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah, I saw these on Twitter and I was like, I need me one of these. So.
That's why you're here. That's the only reason, just using me for a Christmas
Well,
order.
I also wanted to meet you. You seem really cool.
Sarah, I hope that we're live. So can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I always say the people who choose to be a track coach, not coach, right? It's the people that are behind it. And Sarah's a great example of, at the end of the day, we take off that coach title and we are people. We're Sarah's, we're Greg's, we're Mike's, we're Steve's. That's who we are first and foremost. And please don't ever forget that. Don't. I'm hanging on a perilous thing over there. If you bump that table, that's going to fall.
Oh, wow.
And the whole production just dies right there.
I can't be too aggressive.
Let's start the production. Introduce yourself, my friend.
I'm Greg Schmidt, head coach, cross country track and field, University of Bridgeport.
And you're a brand new. We can still say that, right? Like
I like to say it. I think until you get to about 5 years in, you're a brand new program.
Easily. So how has it been going? We kind of a little bit followed along the journey. You've been on the podcast here last year and now this year. How is that process going for you?
It's going pretty well. I mean, really, the first couple years has been educating the university about the sport of track and field. A lot of people in the university, they just admit to me, we're kind of relying on you to tell us what the sport is about more than anything else.
Yeah, they don't know.
No, they don't, and it's nothing against them. It's just they're not experienced with it. And not only that, just getting the word out to the different high schools, getting to the different people in the Connecticut area that UB has. I'm gonna.
I know. Hey, you're me though. You're.
I'm Sicilian. I talk with my hands. What do you want from me? But just getting the word out that we actually have a track and field program, so they kind of understand that.
Yeah. So how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
When you start with zero, it's exciting. You get to put your fingerprint. You're not taking over any baggage and things like that. But you're starting at zero.
Right.
How's that been going?
It's going pretty well. Especially this recruiting class I had coming in. The kids bought in from day one. I have kids from, IMG in Florida. I don't know if I'm allowed to name any names on the podcast.
Well, it's live, so
so I just said it.
He just did it.
Whatever. But, they bought in from day one. They've been working hard, and they bought in, and they're helping me establish it. And that's kind of what you need. And that's nothing against my first recruiting class whatsoever. It's just this group came in, ready to help me out. And I really appreciate that.
Why should kids out there, it's quite amazing, have a lot of choices, right? And it's easier today in 2023 to find out about those different schools and programs. You're in a unique situation that you have this blank slate, or you're writing the first paragraph of your slate. Why should a kid choose you and Bridgeport?
For me, it's more. I don't want to go on a long spiel. That's why I kind of pause for a second. But I always tell athletes there's three things to look for when you pick a university.
Oh, this is good.
So I say this in every recruit visit, all that.
Oh, this is important.
Number one, do they have your degree? Because I've coached, humble brag, I've coached at least 5 athletes in the top 10 in the United States and the United States championships. None of us are millionaires.
Wait, Amy, go check my bank account. I thought you told me something different. Okay, that's a good point.
So you don't get rich from track and field for the most part, unless you're number one, number two, something like that.
And there's only one or two of them. Right.
So you have to have that degree to get a job. Even if you move forward, even if you're continuing to train for Olympic trials, you have to have that degree. Number 2 is who specifically is going to coach you.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there's colleges that don't have a big staff, and what they do is they will recruit athletes just so they get those points at a conference meet, but they might not have the people who are able to help them reach their potential, right? And then number 3 is just the eye test. Is this a nice area for me to live for 5 years, 4 years, whatever your degree is going to require? So for me, I say, we have great programs in terms of health science, engineering, things like that. I don't like talking about myself too much, but I've had success in a variety of event areas. You're getting a fist bump right now.
How are you doing?
So I know what I can do as a coach. So for me, it's more about the athletes. And athletes sometimes are a little bit mystified that I tell them if they're choosing another college, hey, it's tough choosing a college. When you see me at meets, come talk to me, say hi. I hope you do well.
And I'm amazed when I hear that there's some coaches that get angry at them when they don't choose them. I can't get every athlete I recruit. There's no way to do that. It's about finding the fit. So I will never be upset at an athlete finding a better fit than what they think.
You know, I think every coach would say, I'm doing it for the kids.
Right.
And then we do things. It's like, wait, I thought you were doing it for the kids.
Right.
Wait, you're mad at that kid for choosing what they're making the best decision they can at 18 years old, by the way. I thought you were doing it for the kid. You know what I'm saying? It's always, we got to be careful.
It's insecurity.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make you less of a coach because...
We can't be careful with the truth like that. That's exactly right.
It's insecurity. Yeah. And we talked about this when I was on the podcast, which you can download on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, Stitcher, all of that.
It's my marketing department right here.
Give you a little promo, but I talked about that when I was a young coach. I was insecure also, and that's where I kind of let my anger take over. And it's about realizing that and kind of getting through that of it's not about me, it's about helping the student athletes.
You know, that's a really good point. I definitely think about today. You know,
You're starting to stopwatch on me.
No, I stopped it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes and then we start wrapping it up. You know, we talk about kids and their development and coaches and their development, and you know, I didn't think about that. You know, I coached for 10 years, and I think about my first year coaching to my 10th year, and luckily I progressed, not just coaching education, X's and O's, but how I interacted with kids and parents and peers and things like that. That's important.
And it makes me upset when I think about the times that I got upset and I made it more about me by getting angry. And
that's usually the problem, right?
And I think about the athletes that remember things from years ago, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. And I don't want to leave that bad impression. So I always think about that in my head.
Well, let's leave tonight with a good impression. I've got 100 random questions.
I know. Last time you asked me about my stand-up comedy, and I got a little bit upset.
I didn't go there. I was like this close, and then you started dropping truth bombs. I was like, all right, I'm done. 100 questions. You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
8.
Why?
Because that was one of my hockey numbers.
All right, cat and mouse. Who was the real bad guy, Tom or Jerry?
Number 47. I never watched Tom and Jerry as a kid. I was a Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Yosemite Sam. Tom and Jerry was just, and then they had that weird period where Tom talked.
Yeah.
There was like a 1 year period where Tom talked. I don't really get that.
All right. Well, instead of asking you number 47, because we were on the podcast last year, you're a Gill podcast alum, not last year, well, maybe last year. It's getting to where now I don't know. We're starting the 5th season in January. That's crazy to me. I don't know why that never registered when I started back in 2020 doing this. But because you were on the podcast, your podcast alum, you get to flip the script. You get to ask me one question live right here.
Okay, aside from this, and aside from talking to the coaches, what do you enjoy the most about the convention?
Ooh.
And I know I threw two weird caveats in there. That's the main thing.
I mean, I call this.
There's got to be a memory that pops out.
I call this my Super Bowl. You know, I joke with the team, every team that we bring here, that as we're walking through the hallway to come to our booth, I will have to catch up. I'm pulled over here. I'm pulled over. Even tonight in the podcast, people are coming over, and I'm like, no, we're recording. We're here. I just love it, because I get to see you not at a track meet, stressed out, doing a million things that you do. So you're asking what else? Okay,
Well, you know what? We don't have to go there. We can just say that just because.
I got an answer. So, I don't do what I do, and we at Gill don't do what we do without coaches. And a caveat of that, and in addition to that, I should say, is the vast bulk of our equipment is sold through dealers. And so here at this convention, we've got MF Athletics. They're a great partner of ours, sell a ton of Gill equipment. VS Athletics, On Track Athletics, and then of course we work with Mondo and Bynum as well. So seeing these guys and gals that every day are going into every high school and every college and representing Gill Athletics, because what they're representing my favorite people, my teammates. Those guys and gals that are welding this stuff, painting this stuff, accounting. I mean, I dearly love the people I work with. And so all these dealers, coaches, you guys are kind of supporting them, I always like to use, I don't know why I use this example, putting turkeys on their table at Thanksgiving. That means the world to me.
And like you said, I mean, for me, I was thinking about it earlier before I walked down here. I was in a committee meeting with George Williams, who for me is on not only
Have you noticed George has now come up, I think, 3
Oh, really?
times? Take that as a hint. Go listen to his episode. I'm not overstating when I say it changed my life. When he talks about if you're not in the huddle, you don't know the play. It will change your life about judgment of others in all aspects of your life, from driving in the car in traffic to looking at fellow coaches. It's I never want to turn the camera out because I can't show you the Yahoo-ness that comes out there. I interrupted you, but go listen to that. Yeah.
So I was in the committee meeting with him, and we walk out, and Jim Sprecher, who was here as well, Lynchburg, and I'm a Lynchburg alum.
Gill podcast alum as
well. Yeah, we were talking for a little while, and George pops up after the meeting, and we're talking, and Jim goes, "Hey, this is Greg Schmidt," and George says, "Oh, I know, I've known Greg because we've talked for years." And I'm like, think about any other sport where a coach who not only the Mount Rushmore of track, the Mount Rushmore of athletics, if you ask me, because who else has 39 team national championships and all the things he has? And for me, that's the best thing about convention is the best coaches here have no ego. They will work with everybody. And for me, to have people like that know my name, respect me, and talk to me as I speak with them, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it just because that's what this is about. Yeah. And that's why I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you bringing it to the limelight.
You deserve it. So, and you also deserve, only for people who are sitting down, a custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas ornament.
Look at the ornament he gave me. I don't know if this will fit in my pocket. Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Appreciate you. There's no bigger job than being a track coach. The positive impact that you make on young people today is it's immeasurable. It's immeasurable. I really want to have a conversation with you of why the guy that should be at the Bowerman, your former athlete, is not here. Cordell Tench, baby. That's the conversation I want to have. Why the best, and we're not talking. I'm not putting down a Leo and a Jaden, and I'm not putting them down. Why is Cordell Tench not there? I don't do much offline. I do it online, baby. All right, let's start. You have to speak up a little bit, but introduce yourself, please.
Aaron Robinson. I am the Associate Director of the Penn Relays.
And what does that mean? And what I mean by that is, we've had Blake Bolden, the Drake Relays director. We've had Tim last year. I think he's going to join us again here, overseeing the Kansas Relays. What does that mean for, one of the iconic track meets, the Penn Relays?
So Steve Dolan, who's the director of the program, is the director of the Penn Relays. My background, I come from the meet directing side. So when we deal with the meet itself, I'm the operational director. I'm the one to make sure that the meet is running. I'm the one to make sure that all the bells and whistles are firing to make sure that the Penn Relays can move forward. Everything from all the coordination and things. And Steve is the leadership and the direction of what this meet is going to be and what it's going to become. And then I get to be the boots on the ground to implement those ideas and those things moving forward. So it's definitely a team effort, but Steve obviously having all of his coaching duties as well.
Yeah, right.
There's only so many hours in a day, and so I try to lighten that load. And my role, which is really kind of fun, is Penn Relays 24/7, 365. Making sure that the meet is going to happen, and how can we continue to innovate, and how can we continue to get better and move on and move forward.
I coached for 10 years before I came to this side, and I think in every place we held a home track meet. And so I know what that entails. There's a million different things, everything from as, I don't want to say small as parking, but outside the track stuff like parking, alumni, the meet schedule, the last minute scratch.
Logistical nightmares.
Logistical nightmares. And I certainly wasn't hosting a meet anywhere near the size. How do you do it?
That's a good question. And
still figuring that out.
And every May 1st, I'm like, I don't know how we did that, but tomorrow's May 2nd, and Santa's workshop must flip over, and you keep moving forward.
Is it like that? Like as soon as Saturday's over, maybe you get Sunday off, and then Monday
May is wrapping everything up that happened.
Right.
And that's everything from gathering feedback and putting it all, like, how do we make sure we continue to improve? Because when it's an event only once a year, there's so many things that you forget that went wrong the year before.
Sure.
You've got to make sure you got all that down. It's writing the thank you notes, it's finishing the finances and things. And then June, July, and August, it's kind of the decompression and thinking about, okay, where do we want to go from here?
Right.
And within that, too, there's always something that's in the works. And for this year, we're really, really excited about it. So we've been working with World Athletics
to
bring
saw this the other day.
the international relays back. And that's not something that can happen overnight.
Sure.
So those things are a long time in the works, and those are a lot of times the conversations that you're having in June, July, and August. And in September, it's time to actually implement those things. And so everything has kind of its time and season, but the pin relays is going all the time, and you've got to always make sure that you've got the pieces in place so that the meet doesn't become stagnant. You want to, you don't want to change it because it is what it is.
It's kind of a tug of war here a little bit.
You've got to make sure that you're constantly getting better.
Right.
Because you're either going up or you're going down. There's you never staying flat, and it's a challenge.
When we had you on the podcast, so thank you again for being on the podcast.
Oh man, my pleasure.
We had an interesting conversation. You kind of, I don't want to say blew my mind, but I never thought about this. When I can't remember, you can correct me here. You were moving the high school girls 3,000 to the Saturday or the Friday. They never ran on one day, and I was like, oh, but just and you're like, no, the average time of the girls, and I was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. So what I'm leading into is, how do you do that now that you have the relays, the international relays coming? I'm assuming that's not something that just slides in between two heats. How do you work the
Nothing
schedule?
ever slides in necessarily. So last year, the change that we made, the high school girls always had gone on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
And the high school boys had always gone on Friday and Saturday. And when I say always, the girls start first competing in the pen relays in the late 70s. Obviously, they make those back to the 1890s. But it was that way for years and years and years and years. And so last year we flipped it. But by flipping it, to complete the high school girls 4x4, it takes about an hour longer than to complete the high school boys 4x4. And so you've got to find that hour somewhere. Right. You've got to reshift things. And so luckily this year, creating the schedule, we went back to a lot of the things we did in 2022. We'd already kind of created that wheel. So there were things that we could quickly swap.
Yeah.
But we always, with Saturday, we've got the TV block. The TV block is always a 2-hour block. We don't know if it's going to be noon to 2, 2 to 4, whatever it's going to be. We don't know what's going to fall in there necessarily, but we allow ourselves some leeway. So when the international relays come in, and luckily it's a 4x1 and 4x4, something that doesn't take a terrible amount of time to schedule, we have the ability to adjust. And how can we promote this, and how can we put this at the most perfect spot in the event from a TV standpoint, from a spectator standpoint, and so forth, that just allow the event to continue forward. But every year, the schedule is an incredibly complex jigsaw puzzle. And every year you realize after, or during, oh my gosh, I needed 5 more minutes here and I didn't do it. We got to find that 5 minutes now somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I was amazed. I hadn't been to the pin relays since I coached at Mississippi State, so a long time ago. And was able to go this year, and really, so I look at it in a different light than what I did when I was coaching and things like that. Really amazing. I mean,
the operations, it's
when you look at the schedule and you see all the 4x4, it's easy to get complacent as a fan watching, going, oh my God, all these 4x4s. The fans were in every single race. I mean, it's unbelievable.
One of the things that we do that's kind of fun for the 4x4, every high school heat of the 4x4, we should call each one an individual race. Whoever wins that race gets a small wheel. So they're actually champions. So they're trying, and what we do when we seed the event is we put everybody into different pools based on their time. And every once in a while, a coach will get away with it and put a time that's slower so they have a chance to win. But if they come in, we have a formula I'll create it. If they come in and they run more than 20 seconds faster than their seed time, we ensure that they were in a heat with the Jamaicans the next year.
Nice.
So that they don't continue to
do a little wrap on the hands.
Oh, man. And Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit as we wrap up here a little bit. You've got this unbelievably new indoor facility coming at the university as well.
Yeah.
What's the idea for this indoor facility? Are we going to host meets? Are we
Absolutely.
going to host an indoor pin relays?
Well, with
He
Penn
didn't say
being-
no, by the way.
With Penn being an urban campus, space is limited. So it's going to be a spectacular facility, but it's not going to be Ocean Breeze. It's not going to be the Armory. It doesn't allow for that number of spectators.
Okay.
It was built with HEPs in mind, right?
Yeah.
So 8
right.
to 10 team college meet, maybe 15 to 20 high schools.
Yeah.
We'll find out, right? What exactly that looks like.
Right.
So it doesn't have the capacity for a real big high school event, but we'll be creative. We can do things in sessions. We can do some different things. We are going to have a Penn Relays High School Invitational, but it's not going to be the Penn Relays. It's going to be under that wing. It's going to be some fun things like that. Having some. Indoor, you can do some fun relays and things. Right. And how that's going to actually come about,
we'll see.
But yeah, no, it comes online next fall.
Yeah, next fall.
And it will be an incredible facility for the Penn track team.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of college meets, and it's going to be a really, really cool
That'll be
facility.
awesome. That's exciting for you guys. It really is. Healthy things grow. So I like when universities and campuses are continuing to grow and build new facilities. So
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, Aaron, let's have a little fun here. I've got 100 random questions, and trust me, my friend, they're pretty random. You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
Let's go with. You said it's 100. All right, we'll go with number 30.
Why number 30?
Because the Penn Relays has been going on for 130 years.
Very good. All right, hoarding 101. What did you collect growing up, or what do you collect now? Baseball cards, dolls, I don't know.
All growing up, it was basketball cards.
Oh, not baseball.
I was a big basketball fan growing up in Salt Lake. Actually Provo, but big Utah Jazz fan. And collecting basketball cards. So.
Do you still have them?
Oh yeah.
Are they worth anything? Because when I was collecting baseball cards, they were making like $1 billion each one, so not much. But basketball was kind of.
Yeah, but they're just not always been as collectible. I did have a large Michael Jordan collection. Still do. Sort of one here or there.
That's cool. All right. Well, because you're a Gill Podcast alum as well, you get to flip the script and you get to ask me one question. I have no idea. I don't know why I keep doing this, to be honest. It's a little risky here. You get to flip the script because I grilled you for a long time.
This is a bit of a loaded question.
All right.
What is your favorite track meet?
Oh, jeez.
Well, actually, and I'll make sure Tim can hear this. What's your favorite relay meet?
No, you can't. No, you can't go down to that.
No. What are your top 5 favorite track events? Annual track events.
Yeah.
So Olympics, World Championships, those are annual.
Yeah, good. And I would have picked those. I've never been to those, so I will tell you, my former boss, now retired mentor, Fred Dixon, for years kept telling me, you got to come to the pre-classic, and it just never worked out my schedule. And then one year I did, and it was like, wait, this is what track can be? Like, this was phenomenal. And this year we actually partnered with the pre-classic, the Tracktown USA, and so I was out there again this year, and it's amazing. I mean, again, the athletes are making this crazy, which is coming through the coaches, but that's amazing. I do like the NCAA Division I Indoor National Championship. Another meet that every year I'm like, how can it ever get better?
In indoor, the excitement. I mean, I love relays.
Yeah.
The indoor 4x2 is the best relay
that
exists.
It's
a 4x4 on a short track. It's amazing.
I love the indoor meet because every year it's like, it will never get better than this, and then next year it gets better. And then
also you're never cold. You're never
wet.
Yeah,
no, I love indoor. Yeah. No. Good point. And then my third favorite meet is whether it's indoor or outdoor, it's honestly the junior college national. I got to coach junior college for a year. But, I resonate a little bit more with junior college kids and coaches, kids that needed second chances, kids that weren't that good out of high school, get to go to junior college and develop. And junior college coaches, a high school coach has a really hard job, right? Obviously coaching and teaching and helping to get their kids recruited. A 4-year coach has a hard job coaching always recruiting for their team. Junior college coach has to do both every year. They have to recruit kids for the team every year, and they have to get their kids recruited every year. And that's
and also find those kids that they feel like this kid needs that chance.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man, I have a special place in my heart for,
That's awesome.
for junior colleges. Aaron, for being on the show, and only for people who sat on the show, you get a custom holiday ornament with the Gill Connections podcast, man. So grateful for you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Man.
Mike.
Appreciate you, man. It's really amazing. If you haven't, go on to University of Pennsylvania's website and check out the new center that they're building there. It's really a Taj Mahal of what they're building. It's going to be great for the Ivy League and HEPS. It's going to be great for that area for indoor track and field. We don't have enough inventory of indoor track and field complexes. Go and screw up for me just a little bit. Okay. And so anytime we get a new indoor facility online, it's always beneficial for our sport, for our coaches. All right, let's keep moving. We're having a blast.
Another relay,
So
guy.
much fun. Hey, we hit the trifecta this year. Last year we were 2 out of 3. Don't tell Mount Sag. I know I didn't count them. I'm so sorry. They always have the opportunity to come on as well. Let's go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
Tim Byers, the director of the Kansas Relays.
Last year, you were here with us. Thank you for that. And it was really special. It was kind of the comeback of Kansas Relays.
100-year anniversary.
How did it go?
It went great. I mean, it was something that, being 100 years is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, there's 3 of us. It's us, Ben, and Drake.
Yeah.
You know, they had the 100 years.
The
And
juggernauts.
had a lot of support from those guys, from Aaron and, at Drake and stuff too. It was pretty neat, but it went as great as I think it could go. 275 alumni came back.
Wow.
Billy Mills was there. Jim Ryan was there.
And we're talking about a historic program.
We're
These
talking
are,
about these.
Yeah.
We're talking about Olympians and All-Americans and national champions. We had a guy that was on the 1953 national cross-country team when KU won it. That was there.
Dude.
And stuff. So the history was just incredible.
Wow, that's really special.
Yeah, our alumni are just incredible and stuff.
So some people might be listening, and we had Blake Bolden to kick us off.
Right.
We just had Aaron Robeson from the Penn Relays, and now we have Tim here with the KU Relays. What? And I already know the answer because I saw y'all, and I know y'all. You're very collegial. You're very helping of each other. There's no, at least you fake it well if there is. There's no animosity. There's no. I don't want to necessarily say there's no competition because I know we're competing on our teams that come to our meets. But how have you guys? And it's fair to say not at all. I believe that's the answer. How have you guys helped each other for this sport?
So what we're doing now, actually, all 3 of us are meeting together here. We got me, Blake, and Aaron. We're going to meet together. I put out an email and said, "Hey, would you guys like to talk?" And not a lot of people know what we go through.
Right. That's always my number one question. How do you do it?
I plan the next Kansas Relays about 16 months out. So we're already doing one when we have another one and process and stuff. So a lot of people don't, understand that how many officials we need, how many volunteers, meals, the housing, everything that goes with, and that doesn't even include the entries or anything, weather. What's going to happen. We're in the Tornado Alley in Kansas, and we had to cancel the 4x4s because lightning, hail came through and stuff. That's just part of it.
What's the, you have many coaches that come every year, not only for the KU Relays, but some of the other meets. And of course, some great cross-country meets. We've got one of the nicer cross-country facilities in the country as well. It's easy for us as coaches to, and rightfully so, be zeroed in on their team, their entries. Mad that you won't let me choose this heat over this heat or whatnot. What is the hardest part for you and your team when you're putting on the relays that the coaches just don't see? And they shouldn't. You probably insulate them. They don't need to know that the hot dogs didn't get ordered, and so there's no concession. What's kind of one of the hardest things that kind of pull the curtain back for us here?
I think one of the hardest thing is for me, I want everyone to have a great experience. So when a coach comes saying, why didn't my kid get into the fast heat and stuff? I have to say, well, the cutoff was 14 minutes and your kid ran 14:25. I don't have anything personally against any of these coaches.
Right.
And I was a coach too. I'm fighting for my kid also. So I get it, but just to let them know it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's just how the events line up, and we take everything is certified entries, so it's not like we're taking a hand time everything down like they had to run it to get in, or throw it or whatnot and stuff. So, but it's not personal.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to put together a good experience, period, for the athlete first.
Right.
And, you know, then the coaches, we want the coaches to have a good experience too, but it's for the athletes. We want them to come back or say, you know, I remember I ran in the Kansas, because you know.
So you had an amazing experience bringing it back and celebrating the 100th anniversary. What can we expect new or enhanced or doubling down on this year?
Right. So our big thing last year was bringing the high schools back, getting the trust back in Kansas, right, and everything. So that went excellent. I mean, we were maxed out everywhere. All events were maxed out. And now I'm really wanting to start to bring the collegiates back.
Okay.
The bigger thing. Rock Chalk Park is a Class A facility, right? It's World Athletics certified.
Absolutely.
It's got everything you need and stuff. So
there's a couple changes I would make.
Yeah. More stands. I want to. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I know you don't make those decisions, so it's okay.
Hey, ask them where all our blocks are coming from.
Oh, very blessed.
Okay.
Very blessed.
But, you know, that's my big focus right here. You know, the pros are, I think, are going to work their way back and stuff like that. But, you know, but first I need to look at the colleges first, and then after that we'll start bringing in. Because you know as well as I do, once you get rid of something, it's really hard to bring stuff back. And getting the trust within the community. We did an economic impact study, which someone hadn't done for years and years and years. And the economic impact was $3.3 million for Lawrence, Kansas.
Hey, that is
it's incredible.
Like reinforcing, because you know it's very easy and trite to say track and field is not a moneymaker.
Not true.
Not true. That is exactly right. I don't think that collectively we are thinking about the money-making process for our sport. We talked about economic impact, etc. I was just recently on a podcast called the AD Podcast. It's a podcast focused for high school athletic directors. And the two hosts, they were amazing, asked me to be on to talk about the importance of a healthy track program or a healthy athletic program. And I talked about hosting meets as well. And I was like, you know, you can make money hosting meets. And so we talked about, you know, gate receipt, which we don't talk about enough in track either, collecting a gate, and parking, concessions, etc. But I reminded him, I was like, hey, here's the other thing. Even if you host a triangle meet at your place, you may not see an income statement, but you're not spending the money for the bus to go to the meet, the food, etc. You are making money. You are. And I think as track coaches, we need to be more cognizant of that and making sure our athletic directors understand the value that we're bringing, not only in the positive impact we're making on young people, which is immeasurable, but that, hey, we're not this money drain you think we are, that we actually can pull in dollars. So I'm glad you said that. Not surprised by what you guys do there and impact in Lawrence area.
What other sport can bring 5,000 potential students to campus
great
at one time?
That's a good point. That's a really good
Competing, everything and stuff. I mean,
having a good experience on campus.
You have 22 to play, you know, whatever it is on the foot cross. We got 5,000 kids we can bring at one time.
That's a good point. Well, I don't have 5,000 questions, but I do have 100. You remember this from last year?
I do, because I had both a iPod and a Android in my pocket at the time.
That's right. So if we get that, don't pick number 12. That's the one it is. 12, but 1 through 100, you get to pick the number.
21.
So you flipped it around over there. All right, get off my lawn. What's your old man pet peeve?
My old man pet peeve. My dad was a cop. So,
man.
I think his big thing is he was old school. He liked Bobby Knight. He liked those guys. He wasn't much for talking back. You know, and that's kind of the way I was raised, you know, and everything and stuff. So his probably biggest pet peeve is people using colorful language towards him in his job and stuff. But he retired as a cop. He's doing great now and everything and stuff.
Thank you for what he did.
Yeah,
that's a job I wouldn't want. I couldn't do. The world would be worse off if I was. Tim, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Every guest that sits down with us is getting an exclusive Gill Connections all-day ornament. And it's
that's
only
gonna
for
go
people
on.
that sit down and see. We're not handing this out at the convention.
That's
It's
awesome.
only for you sitting down in the
I
hot seat,
appreciate you,
man.
brother.
Thank you, brother.
Does a
Appreciate
great
you.
job. Can't wait till we get our new
That's right. Yeah.
blocks in and stuff. So
Thank you,
thanks,
brother.
brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
It really is, these meets. I'm a short meet fan. I think meets should be in the 2 to 3 hour range for us to have success in our sport. But there is a place for us to have the pin relays, Drake relays, and the KU relays. And yes, Mount Sac. I know someone's listening right now, Mount Sac as well. So it's always great to have those directors of those great meets being here to kind of, again, pull that curtain back and show what they have to do to put on these massive, massive meets. It's quite an endeavor. And speaking of endeavors, let's have our next guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Mark Bierom, director of the cross country and track program at Iowa Western Community College in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
So for people who have been on the podcast before that sit down, I allowed them to flip the script because I grilled them for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Aaron Robeson was on just a little bit earlier, the associate director of pin relays, and his flip the script was, what are, he's trying to get me. What's your favorite annual track meets? And so, mine were, I love the pre-classic. I love the Division I indoor championships. And my third was, whether it's indoor or outdoor, was the junior college national championship. It's just my heart is in those kids that second chances, weren't good enough out of high school, were told they weren't good enough, academically needed second, third, I probably needed 5 chances. So it really, it's a meet that, it's a system that means a lot to me. What has been your experience? You weren't always a junior college coach. Talk to us about your experience. Why are you a junior college coach?
Well, Iowa Western kind of happened because it's where I'm from.
Okay.
I'm from that area, but I don't know. It just happened. I've coached NAI. I've coached high school. I've coached D1. I've coached D2. And JUCO just kind of happened. Not a real reason per se. Coaching is coaching to me, and I don't care where it is. I just want to coach.
Yeah.
And this has been probably the most eye-opening experience, and the most knowledge I've gained from coaching has been these 6 years. I have absolutely no doubt I would have been a better coach at all those other positions if I would have been here first.
Why so?
Oh goodness, you asked me. I said it and then you asked it. Just the situations that I've had to grow from and learn and build, the connections. There's so many more connections involved. I'm not just recruiting athletes. I'm also helping my athletes get recruited.
Yeah.
That has been an interesting experience and learning from, and the development is different. I've got to develop kids in 2 years.
Right. That's right.
To find their home, or to make score points at nationals or regionals, or
a high school coach has a really tough job. They're usually a teacher, then the family, they're coaching, and they're always trying to get their kids recruited to the next level, or even beyond recruiting, get them to the next level, to go to college, right?
Yep.
A 4-year coach has a tremendously hard job. They're always coaching young people. They're always recruiting to their team.
Yep.
The junior college coach, you have to do both every single year. You're always recruiting, and you're always helping them to get recruited, man.
Yeah, it's nonstop. It's
nonstop.
It's both ways, and it's thinking not just the recruiting part of getting them out, is also thinking about the race strategy and where they're going to fit best, and finding that quickly, and learning where that's going to be, and then trying to figure out, everybody's got their dream schools, and is that dream school the right fit? And we, us as junior colleges, because of these connections, this convention, a perfect example, because of the communication we have with the 4-year schools, gives us better insights on what that fit could be for that athlete, even though they may have a different idea.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does, because I'm still amazed that we force 18-year-olds to pick a major
Oh.
that will affect them the rest of their lives. Like when you're 18, you don't know what underwear you want to put on today. I mean, what in the world do we do? It's really a kind of a whack. Like when you take a step back and think about it, it's like that's wacky to do. So when they're trying to pick the school that they think is the school they want to go to, or the location they want to go to, or the level they think they might be aspired to, boy, there's nothing better than mentors and people that have done it before, and who better than a junior college coach who's done this many a time.
Well, and there's so much growth and difference between 17 and 18 and 20 and 21.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like your whole idea of the world is different. Athletics, academics, social, any of it. And so picking those colleges at that age, it's just a different view. And then you look at the junior college side of it. When you go and run these meets as a junior college athlete, you also are you're running against D1, you're running against D2. We're not running just JUCO.
Right.
We're running against all the different divisions. So then you're also seeing college track up front. You're almost on a free college visit for all these schools because you're seeing them compete. You're competing against them. You're going to the facilities and you're warming up on their campus and all that. And when you go on these visits, everybody's on perfect behavior. Right?
You get to see the real,
raw.
Now
you're at a meet, and you get to see them. Okay, this guy's yelling at this guy or this coach is yelling at their athletes. Or maybe they're this, or maybe their athletes are this or that. It's a different perspective.
Yeah. You and I and a fellow friend of ours, D. Brown, have talked a lot about maybe some upcoming projects to work on here. What do you, as we start to wrap up here a little bit today, what's the top misconception about junior colleges that you kind of see over and over, and you're like kind of banging your head against the wall, of like, man, if they would just know that it's really this, not that.
There's a few, but one I'll touch on right now because it's on my head would be the level. The level. Everybody wants to think, D1, D2, D3, NAI, JUCO, however they want to label it, but D1's here. Okay, cool. You're right. D1's really high end, but if you come to the JUCO national meet, or if you look at TFER's page, which a lot of high schoolers don't know what that is. It's the athletic.net of college. You're going to see some times and jumps that you don't. It's the level. The level is so high.
Amazing.
It's very high, and that's one big misconception, I think. And the other one I would say is that there's this negative connotation about what JUCO is. Only kids who have grades are going to JUCO, and that's just not true. We have high ACT scores. We have this, we have that. There's so many different reasons to go to JUCO. You up your draft stock, so to speak. Maybe there's a school you want to get into, and they're not letting you on the roster, or they're not giving you a scholarship. You come to JUCO, you get better, and then you make them give that to you.
Right. Well, stay tuned, because we're going to have some things coming up that I want to dive into here on the podcast and in some other forms and fashions about the junior college system. There's a lot of topics that we can't get into tonight with the transfer portal and things like that, we need to make sure every high school coach I've ever talked to will say, I do it for the kids. I want them to go where they are best suited for. And I think we need to make sure that they understand that junior college is the right route for a lot of kids. I mean, it's not the right route for every kid, just like Division I is not the right route for every kid, but it is absolutely a viable option. I think we need to maybe take a harder look into as high school coaches out there. All right, Mark, I've got 100 random questions here, and they're random, my friend.
I remember mine last year.
Yeah, one day. Don't pick that one. 1 through 100, you get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
2.
Number 2, 88 miles per hour. You've invented time travel. What are the rules in your time travel universe?
What?
There's the Back to the Future, where if you do something in the past, it'll mess, like remember his picture was erasing, his image was erasing from the picture because he met his mom. His mom fell in love with it. There's the Marvel Universe, which creates a whole separate branch of the timeline. What are your rules? What are you doing in your time travel machine? They said they were in.
Yeah. Can't go back further than 100 years.
Oh, so you can't mess up multi-generational. You can only mess up basically generational.
Sounds right.
That's actually a pretty good.
I was trying.
You probably just named the Marvel movie theme in 2026. They'll get to something like that. They'll get something like that. Well, that was good. I put you on the spot. I appreciate that.
I tried.
And to do that, for doing that, for everybody who sits in the hot seat today, and it was the hot seat. You had to think about that. That was good. You're going to go home. You're going to call me like in a week and be like, all right, here's my rules, man. I was thinking about it. We've got a custom Christmas ornament for the Gill Connections podcast.
Sir.
Only podcast guests are getting it, man. So I don't want to see that on eBay.
Oh, no. Put me on the Christmas tree.
Mark, thank you so much.
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care, sir.
Hey, again, I'm super blessed and honored that I coach junior college track, and I'm telling you, it is an option for a lot of your kids. We need to make sure we're taking a look at it academically, athletically, location-wise, cost-wise, etc. But I think I know it's a viable option. I coached it for a year. Heck, I've got a great junior college where we live here in Champaign, Illinois with Gill Athletics, and I hope my kids honestly go to Parkland Community College because I don't want to pay a lot for their college. That's really where I want them to go for college. All right, scoot up for me. Be loud because of some of the ambient noise back here, and introduce yourself, please.
What's going on, guys? My name is Steve Stroderman. I'm a sales rep over at MF Athletic.
I know you can be louder than that.
Proud to say a multi-year relationship with Mr. Cunningham here over at Gill, and just continuing to build on that relationship the last couple of years. It's been really good.
Do you remember the first time we met?
I feel like I was in Ohio.
That might be right.
Ohio Clinic.
That might be right. I don't know. And I
It's
actually.
about a decade ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, first of all, I think a lot of people might be listening right now and go, wait a minute, I think I heard him say he's from MF Athletics. What is he doing on the – that's a competitor. What in the world is he doing on there? Explain for people who don't know, and the good news is a lot of people do know, the relationship, partnership with MF and Gill Athletics.
Quite the contrary to popular belief, Gill MF, we like to say partnership, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been flourishing more and more so over the last couple of years with us kind of collaborating with product development, bringing back the Skypole Mystic, and I wouldn't call us competitors at all. Partners is more of the word that I would use.
Stephen, the relationship between MF and Gill actually goes way farther than you and I, Bill Falk and David Hodge. But I think, to your point, it's gotten better lately. So I like to think guys like you and I are what's making it better.
Sure, we'll take the credit, but no, actually, a person that I would equate a lot of that to would be a guy that we saw last night in Fred Dixon. I know Fred had initiated that relationship many years ago, and we kind of built on the foundation blocks that he put down. We've certainly grown quite a bit the last couple of years, and hopefully continue to grow in that direction even further.
Absolutely. We're very proud of our partnership. It really is. It goes beyond a dealership. It's a partnership. Talk to us. Some people, a lot of coaches, I'm sure you get this, will come up to me and ask me about my job and I maybe thought I've gotten out of coaching, things like that. As a sales rep, amazing sales what you do there at MF Athletics. What do you do? Help us understand kind of what's a day-to-day kind of look like for you?
It's day-to-day. It's changed. There's no static. There's no cookie cutter type of day. But in the grand scheme of things, we are equipment providers. So we are talking to coaches on a day-to-day basis, trying to figure out what their needs are. And luckily enough, we have a couple different product lines that we can equate to coaches' situations and fit them out with the best equipment for their needs. And I think our partnership has shown that we can do that at a pretty efficient level. So.
And what is your background in track and field? Now, your dad, who keeps evading me, by the way. I really want him on the podcast because of his.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yes, I am sure, because of his history in our sport, and specifically in this side of our sport, the equipment side of it. I really do want to get his story on wax. He keeps saying no one wants to know about me, blah, blah, blah. I do. That should be enough. But tell us about your background athletically, coaching, and how you kind of got to him out.
Yeah, so obviously my dad's a modest guy. He was 18-foot vaulters back in the 80s. Was no slouch of a mark, to say the least.
No one would turn down 18 feet today, by the way.
Correct. 550 is a heck of a mark. But I was growing up in an athletic family. My mom was an All-American. She went to Auburn for cross country.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, she transferred back to URI. That's where they met. But we were always in athletics growing up. So we didn't really get thrown into the vault until we wanted to. So my brother and I were 15 months apart, and we kind of started at the same time. I was a freshman in high school. He was in 8th grade. And my dad was doing like these free clinics at high schools around our area, and we just picked up the ball and kind of started from there. So after high school, competed for 4 years, and then I started coaching myself. Started up my own club and did that for about 6 years prior to working at MF. Did that while I went to college, so it stayed in the family, if you will. My brother went to college and vaulted at URI and did very well there. And I coached while he did that. So now we transitioned 6 years later. I started working at MF and going on my 10th year this upcoming year. So.
Do you think, I kind of go back and forth on this, honestly. I'm not leading you like I do, so I kind of go back and forth on this. Do you think your background as an athlete and as a coach, I don't want to ask the question is, do you think it helps you in your business today? Because obviously it does. You have understanding. But do you think it's like an automatic, like if you weren't a coach or an athlete, you can't be in this side of the business? Or is it pretty detrimental if you don't?
No, I don't think that at all. Obviously, there is a learning curve in any business. Even being on the coaching side of things, it probably took 4 or 5 years of learning from my coworkers, from other people in the industry, to really get to the nuts and bolts of what makes coaches tick, for one, what helps them out on a day-to-day basis, and what kind of feedback and help can I be to their situation. And it's an accumulative learning curve throughout the years.
Still learning?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's why we come here.
Yeah.
That's why we come here.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You learn. We were talking earlier with Boo for 45 minutes. You could talk to him the entire time here and still learn stuff year after year.
Easy. Come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's learn something about you. I've got 100 random questions here, and trust me, they're random.
Shoot.
You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
All right. My number has always been 9. So I'm
9. Why 9?
That's my baseball number growing up, and just kind of stuck.
Cha-ching. What currently costs money but should be free to everyone?
It's tough to not get political with that type of answer, isn't it? Like education is a pretty good answer, but it's probably not going to happen.
But it should be. Yeah. A better educated society would make a better society.
In general.
I like that. Well, my friend, for being here today, and only people who sit down at the hot seat.
Look at this.
Only people at
That's why I'm here, the free gifts. That's it.
You're kind of a swag magnet.
You need it.
Yeah. We're handing out custom Christmas ornaments here with the Gill Connections podcast. Just a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you, man. Thanks for talking. Appreciate it. Hey, great partners. Go check them out at mfathletics.com, everythingtrackandfield.com. And you get all your Gill equipment there. They do an amazing job, very educated, very customer service oriented sales force that will help you out with everything you see in the Gill catalog. You can get there from MF, and highly encourage you to reach out to them. They're awesome. You never know who's going to be next. We're getting close. to pack it up shop here. You know, I think we're through 7:30 tonight. We've got a lot of amazing technical symposiums going on. We kicked it off tonight with Blake Bolden from Drake Relays, who supports these technical symposiums. You know, what's so funny is I'm getting a phone call from a coach right now. Don't they know I'm live on YouTube and Twitter? Look, it froze my Twitter. If Ray Williams from Washington University St. Louis caused my Twitter feed to go down, he will hear it. I'm going to have to do like a video on Twitter of me giving him the business. Edit broadcast. Yeah, he did. So we just went dead on Twitter, really because I didn't put the do not disturb on there. But I am going to find Ray if he's here, and I'll make him apologize to everybody on Twitter. Now, let's get to our next guest. Why don't you scoot up here, speak loudly, and introduce yourself.
Hey, Wes Miller. I'm the head coach at Wayland Baptist University.
And this is a fairly new title. Where'd you come from?
So, past 4 seasons was at South Plains College, junior college in Texas.
Now, that's a pretty good program.
Yeah.
We were talking about community college, junior college, track and field just a little bit ago. South Plains, you guys were really cooking.
We had a really good run. Good history before that, but in the 4 years we won 7 national titles. So pretty good stretch. Yeah.
Dude, there are people that will go through their career and not win one national title.
Yeah.
You were able to be a part of 7.
Yeah.
What was it like winning the first one?
Oh, the first one was honestly, you said there are people that never do it. I teared up. It was a huge emotional feeling, something that I didn't know that I would get to experience, be fortunate enough to experience. So, but I'll tell you what, that experience is, it is addicting. You want to do it again.
Sure.
So,
yeah. How many win one? This is really kind of a rhetorical question. And then don't win ever again and think like, oh, we'll do it again. We're better next year. And it's like, dude, it's special. That's why, I remember 1 year Oregon won the indoor national championship by a huge margin, 40, 50 points.
Right.
And I remember going up to former head coach Robert Johnson, great guy, loved him to death. And I congratulated him. I was like, I know this was hard. I know people from the outside are going to see this 40-point win and be like, oh, you guys easily won. I was like, I know how hard it is, super hard to do. So how do you, from everything that you learned at South Plains, everything that you taught and were part of at South Plains, how do you bring that to a really historic program now? I don't know.
Sure.
I'm sure you've looked into the history here.
Yeah.
How do you bring that to Wayland Baptist now?
No, I think I think most coaches would say the same thing. It's process oriented. You've got to look at what your resources are, what your strengths are from a recruiting standpoint, and then kind of evaluate where are areas that with yourself as a coach and your staff that we can coach athletes up, to score at the national meet. And just kind of start chipping away, really. Yeah.
Being a head coach is different. You've learned that in this short amount of time. Was there anybody or any process, you talked about processes, that you leaned on to help educate yourself? Was there someone you called and was like, hey, all right, man, you've been a head coach for 20 years and I've always looked up to you. How did you figure out X or what? Hey, and there is the guy right there that cut us off Twitter. We're going to have him sit down and talk to us about why he cut us off Twitter. How did you lean into, and what do you continue today to lean into to help you become a better head coach?
Sure. No, I was fortunate when I first got started in college to have some really good mentors. Got started in Louisiana at Northwestern State University, and Leon Johnson was a legend coach, 30-something years, individual national championships, a lot of conference championships. And, he taught me really early on in recruiting, you've got to find your niche, find what athletes are available in your recruiting area, and you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to shift your focus into certain events if that's where the talent is, and then also looking at the conference and saying where are the weak areas. And so at a national level, you have to do the same thing and say where are points available, and are there points available that I can coach? Yeah, sure.
Right.
So I think that. And then having head coaches that have honestly given me more freedom than I deserved early on. Learned from some failure in recruiting and, thinking, I can just snap my fingers and this will happen. And,
how naive. We've all been there. How naive.
So it's been, I've been blessed to be in some good programs with coach that gave me a lot of freedom.
Do we do anything here at USTFCCCA, whether it's, I'll say first-time head coaches, but that'd be real narrow to do something as big as here. Maybe it's the first 5 years as head coach education, or to our, I know we have assistant coach track here. Do we do anything like, hey, you want to be a head coach? Well, let's have some head coaches who've done it really. Do we do anything like that here?
So I know USTFCCCA has they have one program or cert that was a head coaching cert.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did that about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was good. Talking about budgeting, recruiting, and managing personnel and all
absolutely.
that. So, pretty good. It'd be nice to have maybe more.
100%.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many things that I've been associate head twice, and but until you sit in that chair, you just it's only learned by doing it, really. So some of the stuff might have been nice to be prepared for.
And we've got to do a better job as head coaches of preparing our assistant coaches. We've got to do a better job as head coaches of delegating. We need experience in budgeting and recruiting and alumni support and lead management, transportation. We need that experience with our assistant coaches so that when they become head coaches, if they become, not everybody can, should, or wants to become head coaches, they're at least getting out of the blocks faster, not learning the blocks on the job.
Sure, yeah.
Now, if you're watching, I know, we rerun this on the podcast, it'll be audio only as well, but if you're watching this video, I know you've already seen my hat, but I wanted to show his hat. Tell me more about this hat. Show the hat a little bit here. Pan Am's. This is a cool looking hat.
Yeah.
Where'd you get this from?
So actually, it was an athlete kind of gift or care package. I had 2 athletes go to Pan American Championships and win medals while I was at SPC, and so each of them kind of came back with a gift to say thank you. So they got to go. We helped them get there, but I had to stay behind because it happens in November. Stay behind with the rest of the athletes, and very fortunate to get a gift.
It's a pretty striking hat, man. I really like
it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yours is pretty cool too.
I had to. Coach Prime showed us what swag and I think he did a phenomenal job. I know a lot of people throw arrows, so I had to get I ain't hard to find either. You can find me on the podcast, on Twitter, on email, my phone number. I ain't hard to find, baby.
Awesome.
And these aren't hard. Well, actually, these are hard to answer.
Okay.
So I've got 100 random questions, and they are random, my friend. You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
Just pick a number.
1 through 100.
Let's go 17.
All right, 17. Fear mountain time. What fears do you have? Heights, spiders, snakes.
You hit it on the first one. Heights. I get queasy stepping up to I don't have to be on the edge, just seeing the edge of anything that's up high.
So you're not doing any hot balloons, you're not doing any
I will never jump out of a plane.
Bungees, jumping out of a plane.
Never.
Do you have a problem getting on a plane? Like you flew here?
No, I'm fine with planes.
Okay. Are you not able to look out? Like do you get the window shade down?
No, I'm good with that. I don't know why I feel safe in a tin can, but I do.
Yeah, screaming thousands.
Yeah. I sit at the back, which is the most likelihood of survival.
Is that right?
At the back of the plane, yeah. They've done test crashes.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to survive.
It's actually as long as it's not a nose first landing, even if it's a crash landing, the back
better
high chance of survival. Yeah.
Well, I always sit up front so I can get the heck off that plane because I fly so much. I'm tired of sitting down all the time. So I'm a goner.
Yeah.
That's what I learned today. I'm a goner.
The front's really bad.
I'm a goner. Yeah. Well, my friend, as a small token of our appreciation, everybody who sits in the hot seat with us today, we've got a small appreciation, a custom Gill Connections podcast Christmas ornament for you.
Sounds great.
We're so thankful for you sitting down and thankful for everything you do for us, for our young people, man. It's really immeasurable.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A new head coach, how do you even prepare for something that you have no idea? You think you know, but you don't know. And so it'll be exciting to watch him continue to develop and grow as a head coach at Wayland Baptist, which is a really historic track and field program. Okay, it's not for everybody, for the faint of heart, to sit down in the hot seat, especially when you have no idea who the person is or what questions they're going to ask. Why don't we start by introducing yourself, please?
Okay, hi, I'm Sarah Anderson. I'm the women's cross country coach and assistant track and field coach at the University of Cincinnati.
Here with Miss Susan C.
I am.
So Susan was recently a guest on our podcast. So we run a Monday long form. It's like an hour and 40, hour and 50. We really dive deep into your whole history. And Coach Seaton was recently on there. And oh my goodness, her history and background in our sport is amazing. How long have you been there?
I've been there a year and a half.
How do you, I'm going to say work around that, but what I mean by that is like you have an opportunity to learn from her and help you with your career. Yeah. How do you take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Do you take advantage of that?
Just like her knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
Every day, she has really given me a lot of autonomy to like do what I want with the program, and with that is like making mistakes and learning from it. But she has like truly given me a platform to learn and grow, and we just have an open relationship where like I feel like I can ask her anything, whether it's like track and field related, recruiting, just life in general. But she's been involved with the sport for so long. She's had kids through the sport. Like just being a female head coach and doing it as successfully as she had for so long, for me, just having the opportunity to like be mentored by her, I try to soak it in every day, just learn under her, grow under her.
You know, I'm fascinated in our sport. We're rough numbers here. We're roughly 50%. How you doing, boss? We're roughly 50% women and 50% men. I don't know what the numbers are racially, but let's say it's 50-50. It's definitely not 91 and 10 of the other, right? So I'm always wondering how can we help, in this example, more women become coaches. We have 50% that do the sport. We certainly don't have 50% in our coaching staffs that are women. What does it mean to you? And I don't mean to put you on the spot here. And maybe
that's the whole point of the interview.
Yeah, she had no clue what was going on there. When you see someone like a Coach C, and there's some other amazing, Beth Alfred-Sullivan, Kathleen Rasky, I mean, some amazing women out there that are coaching unbelievably. Is it something for you? Like, did you have to see a woman in that position before you could believe that you could be a track coach? Talk to me about that kind of.
Yeah, I was really fortunate in my own like personal collegiate experiences. I was coached by females. It wasn't like when I was getting recruited to run at the college level. It wasn't like, oh, a male coach is recruiting me and a female. I just ended up at a university where a female was there. And for me, originally coaching wasn't like the goal. I did exercise science, and I thought maybe PT or strength and conditioning. And when I was a junior, my coach at the time, Taryn Sheehan, she's the head at Yale now. She sat me down and she was like, "Yeah, I love Taryn." She sat me down and she was like, "You have a lot of energy and you have a lot of leadership skills. Have you ever thought about coaching?" And she kind of instilled this seed in me. And then I went on to compete at Michigan State under Lisa Sedekevich.
Oh my goodness!
So talk about just two like really powerful, really incredible, like inspirational women. So those two are kind of like really big factors in like, hey, you can do this and you can do it at a high level, but you can also have a balance with it. And that's something that I've been learning with Susan. It's like, this is a really enjoyable lifestyle and women can do this and be successful. So like having the opportunity to not only be coached by women, but like now be mentored by, Susan. That's kind of like my why behind this is like, I felt like I was poured into and impacted in so many positive ways. So like, I want to be able to do that for the next generation.
I love that story example you give about Taryn saying, hey, you've got a lot of energy, a lot of good qualities that will help other young people. I really believe the superpower of coaches, specifically track coaches here, is seeing something in others before they can see it themselves. And that sounded like that's kind of the example of like, you didn't think like you could be a track coach, and here she is like, you need to be a track coach.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I still like think back to that conversation. Like it's that weird time of life where you're like junior, going to be a senior in college. Are we doing grad school? Are we trying to go pro? Are we? Is the goal to win a conference title, make the national meet? And I just felt like I was so overwhelmed with the next step. And she was like, just relax. Like, I think this could be a good step for you, but let's just be present right now. And I was so like focused on what to do next, and she was just like, hey, like it'll come, but like I think this is an avenue you should explore. And I remember walking out of that office, and for the first time in like my young adult life, I was like, I am really passionate about this and I can be really good at this. So like she kind of like woke that up in me, which is really special. And she's an awesome mentor for me. We talk all the time.
How do you brought up kind of the things that you were thinking of as you're in your junior year, and all these different avenues you have and all these different pressures of conference and nationals, and do you go to the next level and things like that? I assume you're human, and what I mean by
Last
that
time
is,
I checked, yeah.
what I mean by that is, you also probably have pressures of grades and maybe relationships and family. You know, we're not just athletes, just like we're not just coaches. We are humans behind that. How do you use the experience that you had going through that with your athletes today?
Yeah. I think something I actually just talked about this with my women a couple of days ago. Something I take a lot of pride in is like being a younger coach. I have so much relatability because I was in their shoes very recently.
Not too long ago.
So I think with recruiting and culture and all that stuff, I can bring something to the table in terms of just like understanding the stressors of the day in and day out lifestyle of a student athlete. You know, there's a lot of learning and growing on the coaching side, but I know what that feels like and I know what that pressure feels like and the stress. So I really try to bring a lot of energy to practice and truly make that the best part of their day. Because like if you're nervous or scared or stressed about the workouts, that just builds and you know, performance is going to decrease, school's going to decrease. So like if I can make that 2-hour block of their day positive and they can walk away feeling like they won and feeling confident, then I'm doing something right, and that's going to help pour into their school and stuff.
I'm famous for giving challenges to our guests, so I'm going to challenge you, Sarah. You know, I believe in what you said there in regards to you know, because you're not that far removed from them, so you know what TikTok is, and maybe some of our older coaches don't know what TikTok is. This is a very small, funny example, right? And so, but the challenge is going to be, Sarah, that you're going to be in this profession, hopefully, for an extremely long time. You're going to be the 40, God bless you, if you're 47 like me, 50, 60.
Hope I look that good when I'm 40.
She knows how to earn a return guest appearance. I'm going to challenge you that it's good and right what your thought process here today. How do you don't have to think about this day, but work on this as you go through your career? How do you still relate at 40? How do you still relate at 50? How do you relate at 60? Because I don't think the kids change. I think we change.
Yeah.
I was once at a topic where the person was like, how would you describe millennials and Gen Zs and all this kind of stuff, right? And whatever, and I don't remember, whatever the youngest is now, if it's you or the athletes.
I don't even know what I am.
Right? And it was like, oh, what do you, how would you describe it? And people nodding, like yada 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 yada. And she brought up here's what Life magazine says, and blah blah blah. And then she goes, oh wait, I'm sorry, that's actually Life magazine from 1950, talking about young people back then. So young people are going to be brash and maybe short and maybe indecisive, whether they were young in 1940 or young in 2024. But we get older and now go, back in my day, we used to study harder and we used to run hard. The challenge for you and for all of our coaches here is to remain relatable so that you can continue to help these young people over and over and over. They need it not more than ever, because the young people in 1940s needed help and leadership just like they do here in 2023. They need leadership, and what you have the responsibility of and the privilege of is to be that leader for them. So just a challenge, as you continue to go through, because I want to have you back here in 40 years when you are 60-something and talk about, hey, do you remember back in 23? And how do you have developed and still have, the love, passion for your athletes and be relatable to them as well.
Having flexibility and being open to change. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to have a little fun now. So I've got 100 random questions, and trust me, they're random. You get to pick the number 1 through 100. I get to ask the question.
Okay. 24.
Why 24?
My favorite number.
All right. Love it. Gobble, gobble. What were Pac-Man's pellets? You didn't even know Pac-Man. You're so young. What were Pac-Man's pellets made of, and why was he always hungry? Do you even know who Pac-Man
I know who Pac-Man is.
Okay.
What were his pellets made of, though?
Yeah, what were they made of, and why was he so hungry? He was hungry all the time eating those pellets. I told you it was random.
What's something, it's like potato chips. You can't just eat one.
And it kind of looked like...
Yeah.
That might be the best answer we've had.
Okay. All right.
Sarah, for anybody who sits down with us today, and only for people who sit down here tonight, this is not something we're going to give away tomorrow and all this stuff. This is exclusive. We'd like to give you just a small memento of the podcast, this little Christmas ornament for you. And we're so grateful, because here's another thing. We're getting close to episode 250 here on the Gill Connections podcast. We had, again, many amazing women on the show. Diljeet from BYU. And,
in our conference now.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's, good luck, by the way.
Thank you. I'll need it.
And almost every one of them expressed some kind of form of this story of when they saw another woman in leadership, typically as a coach, in our example here, that it showed them that they can also do that. And you're a great example of that with some other women, but now you get to be that example. So I just want to bless you and just say, what you're doing is more than showing people how to run laps around a track and over the hills and through the dales. There are young people today that are going to do really amazing things. Most of them not in track and field, let's be honest with you. They're going to go and become moms and dads and business owners and coaches and clergy, etc. And you're going to be a big part of, someone's going to be telling someone else, my coach Sarah, she believed in me and I didn't. And that helped me to understand that I can believe in myself. So, just love you and so grateful for what you do and choosing to be a track coach.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you
this
for
is awesome.
by.
No
Appreciate
problem.
you so much. Tell Susan I said hello.
I will.
And if you didn't listen to her podcast, you got to, because her background is amazing. Are you coming to sit down? You have stuff for me.
I'm a deep buried gift.
Are you want to sit down, or you want me to wrap up? I was going to wrap up.
Wherever you want to be.
Well, let's have you give me the gift online, and we'll wrap up that way. So, Dave Self, please sit down.
Absolutely.
Oh, no. Are you here? Oh, I don't know what.
I'm sorry, I cut.
No. I just have to have one here so I can yell at them. Okay. We are going to have one more after this. What's up, brother? Hey, we're always visited by VIPs. Michael Ford from Baylor.
Sick 'em.
Little preview in January as we kick off our fifth season of the Gill Connections podcast. We're starting it off with a bang. We're doing a special Baylor 4x4 series. All 4 weeks in a row, we're doing Baylor big timers. So we had to get Mr. Leadoff, Michael Ford here, director of track and field there at Baylor. He's guest number 1. Guest number 2 is Jeremy Warner. Guest number 3 is actually he's not here. David Hodge, my boss, is a great Baylor alum, multi-time All-American pole vaulter. He's guest number 3. And then to anchor it, there was no way we weren't going to anchor it without the granddaddy, the big poobah himself, Mr. Clyde Hart. And trust me, you don't want to miss that one. It really was amazing, actually.
Awesome.
I mean, yours was too.
Yeah, no, but I want to listen to Coach Hart. So it was awesome.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Dave Self is here, Sam Houston State. We've had a lot of talks about junior college today, and Dave and I, that's how we first met, was coaching at junior college.
A couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Been a day or two. So.
That's how time works when you get to our age. What are you doing here today in USTFCCCA event?
Just got in, came to see you, and just want to say hello. Just excited. Didn't get a chance to come last year, and just really excited about being here and seeing everybody and catching up and all the great things that are going on.
So what's the one thing you circled? Okay, I'm coming to Denver to the USTFCA. I can't miss Hall of Fame. Maybe it was a speaker.
There's a couple of things. Hall of Fame, there's a couple of speakers that I want to listen to. Our flight got delayed, so I was trying to catch Chris Parno tonight. I missed him. Mm-hmm. We're looking forward to some of the Division I voting stuff that's going on about some possible changes to indoor qualifying.
Absolutely.
We're going to hash out.
Yeah. Whatever you do, this is completely selfish as an equipment provider. Do not do regionals for indoor nationals. It's also not good for our sport, in my belief, as well. But I just don't want to do
it. May be out of our control.
Yeah,
so,
well,
that train may be headed down the tracks already.
Why is it always out of my control? You said you had some gifts for me, my friend.
I've been meaning to take care of you, sir.
Oh my goodness!
I got you a T-shirt and a hoodie.
Oh, dude, take a look at this. And if you were here earlier, you know my feelings about this. It really is special. When I wear these and show them on Twitter and work out and stuff, this really is the reason I do this. It's kind of twofold. One is to keep myself accountable. That's why I do it when I work out.
Sure.
But it also it's kind of my thought process of like what I'm doing to get myself healthier, also for my family, but for the coaches. I can't serve you if I can't. It's a little bit of that selfish. I have to be selfish and get better, healthier, so I can serve you guys longer.
I've just done the same thing.
I'm so grateful.
There's 50 pounds less of Coach Self now than there was about 4 months ago.
I know there's no secret, but I'm going to say I need to know the secret because I'm struggling. And that's
Control what you put in your mouth.
My diet is not matching up to my working out. That's for sure.
My super fit wife says I got to keep working out more, so that's the next step. But
my wife's
I did it through
too,
diet first. So.
She's too nice to me. My wife's like, you really should eat healthier. Would you like some pizza?
Yeah,
she's too nice to me. Dave, thank you so much, brother. We'll catch up throughout the week.
Yeah, sounds great. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Sorry.
No, he's a good ender to this.
Hey, my man, Mike.
All right. So I think he might be learning this right now. First of all, introduce yourself, my friend.
Coach Ray Williams, Washington University, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Okay, so something I was doing tonight that I've never done before, besides going live on YouTube, we were also live on Twitter.
Oh, I messed up Twitter.
And when you called, you now see I didn't leave it in the edit broadcast. Yeah, it just died. Everybody.
So listen, everybody on Twitter, come over to the YouTube. We don't even do
It's
the
too
X.
late
X,
for that.
X,
It's too
X.
late.
Come on
for
with
that.
X. Who does X?
Ray, you and I have been friends for a long time. When you were 5 years old and I was 30, we
Hilarious. You love that. You love that.
You've done an amazing job at a lot of great institutions. Let's see this. I think of you as someone who has a fountain of knowledge. You're thought of, in my opinion, and I hope this doesn't offend you. I love you enough that you know this isn't offensive. I think you are seen more as the hype coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just like you came in,
My man Mike,
every
I
time
gotta
we
give
see a
it to
check,
you.
and I love you for that.
That's right.
But I think you don't get your due, if you will, of what's up here and how you coach. And I don't just mean the X's and O's. I mean how you relate to your kids, the programs that you build, how you recruit and build those programs athletically as well as academically. So I want to kind of take the opportunity, since I have you here.
Okay.
We have a really broad audience, everybody from guys and gals that are in the Hall of Fame tonight, down to people who have never coached but want to coach, athletes. What advice would you give someone wants to become a track coach, whether it's college or high school? I don't know that that's relevant. Maybe it is, and you can answer with part of your answer. It could be that. What advice would you give to help someone have a long career coaching, specifically track and field?
Yeah, so it's a passion, right? So I come from a family of educators, and so it's kind of instinctive. So when you look at what's the end result is to build that young person to be the best, whatever they're going to be. We have a sport that doesn't have an end to it, and so because our sport doesn't have an end, how do we take our sport and apply it to what they're going to do? And so, as I mentioned, we're at Washington University right now.
Keep talking. Hey, Dave.
Yeah, totally different situation where
I'm so sorry. I forgot to
Washington University, our players, Division III,
right.
they're not on scholarship, and so they do it for the love of it. And that whole paradigm of the love for it, but what can you bring to the table when they go into the workforce as accountants or lawyers or doctors, architects? I mean, the conversations I have with my students now, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Because the altitude of our young people. But it's been that way, for now 28 years in collegiate athletics. So it's been pretty good roller coaster.
It's funny, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to say I'm famous for saying this. I'm not famous for anything, but I say this a lot. The love that I have for the people who choose to be track coaches is because 99.999% are never going to go pro. And out of the 0.001 that do, 99% are going to make money. Unfortunately, I wish that would change. But every kid that you coach, every kid that these guys and gals out here coach are going to go on to become moms, dads, business owners, to your point, architects, clergy, charity owners, etc. And that is the real, in my opinion, positive impact that track coaches make on society, because you're raising, hopefully, good people by being an example, correcting when necessary, patting on the back when necessary, that they go become good humans. You talked about passion and what we do for the kids as we're giving this advice to young people. Most, in my experience, want to coach track because they want to, I always say, put their toes in the sand pit. They like to be outside. That's the fun part. Talk to us about, of all the coaching duties you have, the very formal ones, meaning there's paperwork and stuff that you have to do, the informal ones, a kid comes in and wants to talk about dropping a class or maybe being homesick. Out of all of your coaching duties, how much time are you actually on the track?
That's a good question.
The part that we all, quote unquote, get into coaching for.
Yeah, the 2 hours that we long for all day. No, but you said it well, and that's when you can see the longevity in the sport, because the coach you just want to play and keep their feet in the sands, they don't last long because they miss the big picture. The big picture is to to raise up the next generation of young men and women to do some amazing things. But yeah, to answer your question, that 2 to 3 hours, maybe the prep time, or again, I'm in a situation where players have class during the actual practice time. So the 3 sessions in the morning, the 2 after practice, to try to get them what they need to be successful.
Right.
But yeah, that little block of time that's not really what it's all about. Yeah. And the big picture, as any educator would tell you, it's all about the organizational structure, making sure there's a plan. Again, what's the end goal? A lot of people are so tied up into the science or the art of it. You got to put it both together.
Yeah.
To make that end result do what it do.
I've used this example before, and I actually, for some reason, I always use the same person. It's actually a former boss of yours, JB, Jay Baltus. Because you just said it's not always about the X's and O's, and I think that's very true. I think it's very important for coaching education and understanding how to coach long jumpers better and distance runners better, absolutely. But I think how you work with these young people can overcome a lot of maybe some not so great habits on the scientific X's and O's side, right? So I always use JB. I don't know why I use him, I just do. I would say, Jerry Baltus at Grand Valley State, his leadership skills are so good. I truly believe that we could pluck him out of track and put him as a hockey coach. And I don't know, maybe he actually loves hockey and knows everything about it. I don't know. I just assume he doesn't. But even that he would not know the X's and O's of hockey, I think because of his leadership skills and style, that the leadership side of it, they would be very successful. I think really good leadership coaches could do almost any sport, any classroom, etc., and have success because of the leadership qualities.
And that's the key. You just said it. That part of coaching is the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce. My coach had it at North Central College, Al Carey's. And it's about building those relationships. That extra 5 minutes to just tell a player, hey, these little things you need to correct these, pat them on the back, see them tomorrow.
Right.
That little bit is all it takes.
Yeah. You have a huge responsibility. Not young people today. Young people are going through a lot of pressure, stresses, etc. They need to have a good experience with you when they do have that 2-hour block with you. They need to know that that's kind of the best time of their life.
And you said it right. We call it recess.
Yeah.
They ring the bell. I say this every year. The door opens. 30 players run all over. People run all over. I've never seen a hamstring pull.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a couple of bloody nose, right? And 3 little girls are in the corner having a conversation. The 2 little boys over there picking boogers. But that is, I think everybody needs that in their life. Yeah. And that joy. Yeah. No question.
As they get on in age, they're gonna forget or at least embellish their PRs. I'm now a 150 half miler. Next year, I'm sure I'll run 144.
Oh my God!
But they
what that mean?
Exactly. Yeah. But they remember the bus rides. They remember the coach that saw something in them before they could see it themselves. They remember the stressors and pressures of winning a conference title, whether it's a team or individual relay. That's what they truly remember. I love that recess analogy, man.
That's it. I give it to them every year, especially when you got so much stress on the academic side of campus. When you come over here, leave that stuff there.
That's awesome.
Open up, have a good time. Great experience.
Let's have a little bit of academic here. I've got 100 questions.
Absolutely not.
1 through 100.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get to pick the number. I get to ask the question.
My number's 22.
Why 22?
Great question. So 22 was my number in high school, my soccer freshman year. I got number 22. My senior year, we only had 18 jerseys, so I took number 2.
I think this is a good one for you.
Give it to me.
Get out of my kitchen. What's your least favorite food or ingredient?
It's messed up. So, although I wear it well.
Better than I.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've been very fortunate. I don't really have a bad thing, right? Remember when you're little, you didn't like salad? I like salad. When I couldn't understand why the squid tastes so funny and so mushy. I like squid now. So when you evolve with years, your time changes. So in the kitchen, I don't know, man. I would say didn't like hot foods. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it now. It's a great question.
You're constantly evolving, right?
That's it.
I'm not talking about in general.
Oh.
You are constantly evolving, getting better every year.
Black licorice. I love black licorice.
Oh yeah, it's not no fan there. That's for sure. Ray, thank you for being on the show, man. Really do appreciate you,
my man. And thank you for the product that you always send me, my man.
Thank you, man.
And I need a weight.
That's it. We're in orbiter land now. Exactly. Hey, for everybody who sits down with us tonight, we're giving them this is exclusive. We're not giving this out to just in general, only for people to sit down. Gill Connections holiday order, man.
That's what's up, my man.
Thank you,
brother.
Appreciate you.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
What's going on,
If you're gonna sit down, come and sit down. Otherwise, I am wrapping it up, man.
I'll come to speak to you.
Awesome, man. No, that's always good. Hey, how are you, man? Good to see you, man. I'm doing great, man. You guys good?
So far,
All right.
good, man.
Let me wrap up, and let me come see you real quick. All right. I'm wrapping up, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. See, I always worry like who's going to step in as soon as I start to wrap up. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for being here again with the Live Connections podcast. You know, we do this here at Gill Athletics because we love you as a person and what you do for the young people around the country, around the world. And it really does mean the world to us. So keep watching, keep listening, and we'll keep bringing you amazing coaches around the world. Give you a sneak peek here coming up in season 5. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, the whole 9, but we've got that Baylor 4x4. Where we're going to have Michael Ford one week, Jeremy Warner another week, David Hodge, our CEO at Gill Athletics, and then we anchor that 4-week block with Clyde Hart. You're not going to want to miss it. Who else do we got? We've got Casey Combest coming to the show. You're going to love that. We've got another amazing high school coach or club coach, Danny McCrae. You're going to enjoy. We're going to continue bringing you special coaches every week on the podcast. And then in April and May of 2024, every day, starting April 2nd, we've got a high school coach from every state sitting down with us, talking about how they qualify for the state meet and what events they run, meet of champions, things like that. And we're going to answer the forever argument. Is it state or states? You plug in with us at Gill Connections Podcast, and we'll keep uplifting and honoring coaches around the world. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.